Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Well, here we got 7 inches of snow the other day, not yesterday, and it's very cold. I daily to Daria. So I wake up early and then I find an egon video and an alligator video. So we will enjoy those. And what I've done is I'm kind of taking notes so we don't dick around with it going, okay, go to 13-minute, go to 3-minute, go to 2-minute, go to 7-minute, and boom. As opposed to trying to listen to 10 minutes of it, which is boring for everybody, even though it's good information. So, with that said, the overall is, again, they go, Bitcoin is very risky. It's not gold, it's not money. But for wealth preservation, so you don't lose all your money, you buy gold because this is going to zero. There's too much debt. That's the bottom line on that versus Bitcoin. The other is Russia and brics going to a gold standard, which is where it's headed because all the U.S. is just spending all their money. It's a debt trap. There's wars that cost money. We're being run by the defense industry, not the government. Then they asked him about, is this a conspiracy or, this great reset and that? And he says, no way. He says it's out of control. You can't control, there's no control. There's no conspiracy. It's rubbish. I love when he says that. So we will get into that later. Let's get into football now. So we had 2 picks on Saturday. We had the over in the Cleveland-Houston game because we couldn't figure out Flacco and Stroud. And Houston wins 45-14. We have 2 pick sixes by Houston. Okay, Flacco, he's not a great quarterback. He didn't do it against Montana. Okay, so you gotta digest everything. Miami, KC, we got KC winning 20-6. They win 26-7. We have the under in the game. KC with a great defense and 30 degrees below zero. I knew Miami wasn't going to do anything. I could have played KC, but I liked the under better because it was 44, and there was no way they were getting to 50. So 2 games, 2 winners, 1 lock, KC under. Yesterday, we have the over in the Green Bay-Dallas game because I can't trust Prescott. If I can't trust him, how can I take Dallas -1? I don't trust McCarthy. You can't say these guys are going to win. Now, on the other hand, Love, we don't know, and Green Bay's been the number 1 seed with Aaron Rodgers and loss. I don't trust this coach, whoever he is. So I can't play a winner, but I can see points. So I go over 44, and it's 48-32. Now, I predicted 31-24 Dallas, and they got 32. I was pretty close there. Green Bay, 48 points. Oh, my God. Where was, and I found the play calling extremely ridiculous. Dallas is running up the middle on first and second down, their first 4 possessions, not scoring. We get the pick 6 from Dak. We get another pick from Dak at the 20, so 2 touchdowns there. Love looks good because Micah Parsons isn't blitzing. They're putting him back in coverage. Okay, who is coaching this team? And then they'll want to sit there and go, look how good the coaches are. And that the guy who was the Seattle defensive coach, who then went to Atlanta to be the head coach who sucked, who now is Dallas' defensive coordinator. And Yeah, he's up for head coaching job. Good luck with that one. I mean, are these guys a bunch of morons? Or he's a coordinator. All right, well, try him as a head coach. Well, he's never been a head coach. Oh, we'll try him anyway. He doesn't work out. Okay, he goes back to a coordinator. Well, we got head coaching positions. Let's take this guy that couldn't be a head coach before and make him a head coach again. I think his name's Quinn. What are you doing? The guy can't head coach. Why don't you make Matt Patricia the head coach? We saw how good he was. So we end up seeing that Dallas was a phony 2 seed, which we kind of knew. Philly was the better team, but got injuries. And the biggest one, Slayton, their cornerback, who's all pro, got hurt. I think that's Philly's problem, right? So Dallas loses 48-32. I'm tired of them not digging into the stats. Well, Dallas averaged 40 points a game at home. Yeah, they played the Giants. They played Washington. They played Carolina. They played the Jets. Washington and the Giants and Carolina, and you wonder, that's 40 points a game. How do they do against good teams? I know they played the Lions and Philadelphia at home. The Lions, they scored 20 because they ran the ball. In Philly, I think they got 31 or something. So Dak Prescott is one of the worst quarterbacks I've ever seen. He just has no idea what he's doing before the snap. As I've stated, Brady, Montana, they'd go up to the line. They'd go, oh, there's my bitch. I'm throwing it in the right flat or the right, I'm doing a post pattern with Jerry Rice. Dak has no idea. He gets up to the line. He goes back. He's like audibleizing, and they're faking him out. They're sitting in a zone and then change to man, and he can't figure that out. And then he throws just the worst passes I've ever seen. Then when they're down 30 points, he starts lighting it up because they're playing deep and letting him catch these short ones. So his stats look good. He'll never win. He's not a good quarterback. This is the point I try to make to you guys. A good quarterback why is Montana the best? Because he knew where he was throwing, and he didn't throw interceptions, and he threw and got you points against the 84 Bears, against the Giants, against these teams. He basically won. He could handle those defenses. Dak Prescott against Lawrence Taylor, I mean, it would be a joke. Taylor would eat him up. So that's what you have is basically you just keep betting against Prescott in a big game, and you're going to win because he's not. But because I didn't know Love, he had a good year his junior year at Utah State. Then they switch coaches. In his senior year, he sucks. Right? He goes from like 28-3, reminds me of Van Dyke and Hartman, to like 10-20. And Green Bay drafts him, and you're like, now, unless they're going to run the same as what they did the third year he was there, and then the coach moved on to Texas Tech, I think. So you had the coach move, so the offense changed, which reminds you of Van Dyke and Hartman. And once you see that, then you're not really sure. He was good under this type of offense, not against the new coach. And these new coaches, they do not know, like Notre Dame had no idea what to do with Hartman, and the new guy at Miami had no idea what to do with Van Dyke. I don't know why Van Dyke's going to Wisconsin. I don't know what you see there. I mean, it's probably the last place. He should go to UCLA or something. The USC, I don't get it. So we're still feeling our way with Love. He looked very good against a very good defense. Give him credit. And they get the win. All right. We must learn while watching the game. We have people that already know the quarterback, which is impossible. We don't know the quarterback until they prove it. So Love has proved a lot. Okay. We will see what's going on with Josh Allen today. That's at 4:30. It's 12:30. We know what Mahomes is all about. We know Tagliavoa chokes. We know Stroud, he didn't put up 45, 2 pick sixes. So he puts up 28, 31. He played okay. Cleveland is, how good a defense are they? I'm confused by why they're so good at home and not on the road. That doesn't make sense. They must have had a very easy schedule at home and a very tough one on the road. Again, people not reading the stats. You don't just say Dallas is better at home. Who did they play? They played nobody. The Jets, the Giants, Washington, Carolina. Oh, okay. And the Rams, everybody kept saying Dallas beat the Rams. Well, yeah, Stafford got hurt in the game, so he didn't finish the game. And if the backup comes in and throws a couple of picks, so that's ridiculous. Anyway, so now we come to the Lions and Rams. This was my other part of the Detroit, because I can't trust them. The Rams were the better team. Stafford against Goff, I will take Stafford every time. Goff, we've seen choke. Goff choked in the second half last night. We got 21-17 at half. We end up 24-23. Where was Goff in the second half? He didn't show up. Pressure got to him. Oops. And Stafford, they had trouble in the red zone. Whoever designs the plays in the red zone doesn't have a fucking clue what they're doing. I saw a screen pass I was happy with. You have to run the ball. And I think what you need to do, still there's little crossing routes, or wherever the linebackers are, you gotta throw it either in front or behind of the linebackers, because there's no room, which is why you must run the ball. I found that they didn't run the fullback, Williams, enough. I didn't know he went to Notre Dame. Okay. So they didn't run him nearly enough as they should have in the red zone. So they're kicking field goals. The Lions didn't show up in the second half, but had the lead. And again, it was 3 field goals. Now, the lock was over 51-45. So I'm locking over 45. I win 24-23 is 47. I needed that last field goal, and I'm glad that the Rams coach is smart and doesn't well, it's 4th down, let's go for it anyway, that he actually kicked this field goals in shaky because the kicker couldn't kick, but we still was okay. So it goes 24-17. So I got 44. All I need is another field goal to win. I get it to 24-20. 24-20. I go to 20. No, it was 17. I go 24-17. Okay, let's tie the game up, and then I go 24-20. So I need one more point, and I get 24-23, 47. And had the Rams been able to get the ball back and driven, they could have won 26-24. So we give the Lions credit for their St. Brown, or St. Cloud, whatever his name is. Goff doesn't show up. He shows up a little and then doesn't show up in the second half. Stafford got hurt, hurt his finger, looked like he got a concussion. Where was the personal foul on that play? Didn't show up. The rest are very confusing. Now they're only calling offensive holding penalties. Obvious pass interference near the end on Puka Kupa and nothing. The guy has the right for the ball. The guy does not have the right for the ball if he's knocking over the receiver. The receiver, you can't tackle the receiver because you're going for the ball. I thought that was ridiculous. Clearly interference. Rams should have won 26-24. But in our case, we certainly don't trust the Lions. Okay, they got to win 24-23. Again, the Rams were the better team and a very live dog, but the over was such a better pick. Again, the 27 defense of the Lions, they give up 23, and the 22 defense of LA, they give up 24. So it was pretty close to what their defenses were. So the over hits, lock hits. Now, the way I played the lock, okay, so I got the lock, Detroit over, Kansas City under, like 35 units wins. But then I played KC with another game, and I played Detroit. I had Detroit with Green Bay over. So I hit 2 teasers with Detroit, the Green Bay over Detroit, and the Kansas City under with Detroit. So it's not fair when people ask me, well, how'd you do? And I go, well, do I win 1 game with Detroit or 2? I have them in 2 teasers, and they both win. That's my point about trying to measure teasers. This is why you change the amounts and you bet them multiple times. I got Kansas City in a second teaser with a game today in the Pitt Buffalo game. And then I have the Cleveland teaser, which is a winner. I have it over with the Philly game. So I have 4 teasers. I can't lose now because I've won 2 and I won my lock, which is why you buy the lock, because you want to bet more on it. So as we know, we've got our guy who bets $5,000 bankroll. So he should bet $50 a game. But when I give him a lock and it's 35 units, he should be betting $750, $800 at this point. And his bankroll would have went up from $5,000 to at least $10,000 now, because I've been red hot last 7-8 weeks. Once the beginning was really difficult. I didn't like Jacksonville, and they kept winning. And then the Pitt game, I locked Pitt, and then the guy Pickett would get hurt, and I'm like, fuck, I lose my quarterback. But then after that, and about just before Thanksgiving, the last 6-7 weeks, I've been red hot, and it's all very clear, who's what, how to pick it, and everything else. So let's look at today's game. We've got Pittsburgh at Buffalo. We've got 17 degrees, 14 mile an hour winds. But is 17 off the lake 17, or is it 0? Probably 0. 14 miles an hour. I look at the thing. Everybody, Rudolph, this is your 4th-string quarterback going against Josh Allen. Josh Allen chokes a lot in the playoffs. We'll see what he does. Pitt with the good defense. Yeah, J.J. Watt's out, T.J. Watt, whoever. That hurts, but it's a system defense, so I think they'll be okay. I think they'll run and play it close. Hey, Gregory John. No, that's why we bet totals there. So far, I'm 4-0 with my totals. I avoided the Dallas -1, and I took the over, and the over was easy. Green Bay got us the over. That's why you got to learn how to trust, and you can't trust Dak Prescott for sure. All right, and then the second game, Philly Tampa. Really no weather. It's 68 degrees and 2 mile an hour wind. Bobby, you going to be there? You're going to be like running the sidelines? Philly, Jalen Hurts is fine. Swift, and then Smith, Julio Jones, and Zacharias against Mayfield, who's got a hurt ankle and is still questionable. White, Evans, and Godwin are there. So Tampa, I guarantee you Baker Mayfield plays. The question is, so he really won't be able to run too much. But we saw Mahomes win a Super Bowl with a bad ankle, right? Supposedly. So really nothing on the weather. We know it's not great in Buffalo Pitt. It's 14 mile an hour versus the 25 that I wanted. And I really don't like that they changed this. It's really bullshit because we already made our bet. We don't wait till game time to make our bet. You can't switch a game this late. I think it's bullshit. Let's go. So let's go to the line. And we've got Buffalo is 10 and 38.5. So went to 9.5 briefly. And 38.5. All right. And then we've got Philly 3. So the big move from 3 to 2.5 back to 3 and 43.5. And that really hasn't moved. So what do we got here? So there's really not much. We can look at the injuries, but there's not much there. And it's nice we just have two teams to look at. So we've got Philadelphia. S. Brown, the safety's out. A.J. Brown, the receiver's out. Hurts with the fingers, probable. He'll play. Devontae Smith, I don't care. Blankenship is with the groin, the safety. Swift, the running back. Darius Slay is their big injury, the cornerback. He's all pro. And the Kobe Dean from Georgia with the foot. That doesn't help. Pittsburgh, Fitzpatrick's playing. TJ Watt's out with the knee. Probable. Najee Harris, probable. And that's about it. And then we've got Tampa. Mayfield is now probable with an ankle. Okay, that's good. So why did the line go from 2.5 to 3 if he's probable? Jarrett, the receiver, probable. An offensive tackle, probable. Mo Green is out, a defensive lineman, and that's it. And my fourth team is Buffalo. So I come into here, like it updated the Mayfield injury where the other site didn't. Buffalo, Hamlin, safety, probable. Micah Hyde, probable. Josh Allen, probable. Don't know. Knox, tight end, probable. Milan, well, that's it. So we pick up a little on Mayfield playing. So that's what we've learned. So we've broken the team up, which is all you can do. So you've got to understand the team to be able to pick the game. As I stated, Detroit, LA over teams went over. Green Bay, Dallas. Even Dallas has this great defense. Where was it? They made Love look like Joe Montana yesterday. They didn't even get pressure on him. I'm sorry. I would have taken a roughing the passer penalty. I'd have had some third-string defensive linebacker go in and just pound the guy. Take the penalty, okay, and then let him try to play then. That's what they used to do. The Oakland Raiders, Jack Tatum, and those. They would pound you, and then you'd be scared shitless. They do that to Lynn Swann all the time. He had to leave the games because they'd give him a concussion. And they didn't even throw the ball to him. He was just running a route, and they clotheslined him, and he was out. I don't even know if they got a penalty on it. All right. So let's look at Pitt as an under team with an 18 defense. Is it still an 18 defense without TJ Watt? Maybe a 20. Again, it's not a one-man team, and the guy who replaces him should be okay. He's good, but he's not that much better than the other guys. Buffalo is an 18 with a 20 defense. They got a pretty good defense, and they played pretty strong against Miami to get to the 2 seed. Now you understand the reason of the 2 seed. Miami had to go play in Kansas City with zero weather. Buffalo gets to play at home. Even though it's zero weather, it's Buffalo weather. They don't care. Had Miami won, they'd have been in Florida for this game, and it would have been yesterday. Buffalo minus 10. Do we trust Josh Allen in a playoff game? And do we trust Rudolph? This I don't see how we can trust Rudolph. He's never been there. Josh Allen has played some good games. He's a big choke. He throws a lot of picks. He can't read a defense and a blitz. I do think this is a defensive game, and I think it'll be low scoring. So I would never lay 4 with Buffalo, nor would I take 16 with Pitt. There's too much uncertainty with Rudolph. He's like Love. Is he going to show up? I mean, he's been in the league 5 years, and the guy hasn't done shit. Josh Allen should be good, but Pitt's defense. They did beat Baltimore the end of the year without Lamar, but still, Baltimore's defense played. So it's a tough one. I got Buffalo 24-9, which means 15 points. So you could tease it either way. I think Buffalo wins by at least a touchdown. However, 38 in the cold and in the wind. So we got, 15 miles an hour and 19 degrees without the wind chill. So I'm assuming the wind chill is 0, just like the Kansas City game. And I'm looking at the Kansas City score. I had 20-6 Kansas City. It was 26-7, and I got 24-9 here. I don't see Pittsburgh. Buffalo's defense is playing pretty good, and I don't see Pittsburgh where they're going to get points from. Pittsburgh should keep Buffalo down enough. And, as you get to the fourth quarter, it's not like college where they score a lot. They just run the clock out and get the win. So I'm looking at, I feel, a low-scoring game. So I look at the under 44 as probably hard to get in this cold weather. But both teams are cold weather teams. Greg and John, I thought Ken Stabler was a great quarterback for the Raiders. Anyone upsets today? Ken Stabler was a great quarterback. I never said he wasn't. So I think this should be a low-scoring game. You have two strong defenses. Even with T.J. Watt out, I still think it's a strong defense. So I'm looking at 24-9-ish, somewhere around there. Now, I was dead on Kansas City, and I was way off on Houston. Although for an over, I was dead on. I picked 57 points, and they scored 59. So in a total, I was fine. Houston scored more than Cleveland did. Yesterday, I had Dallas 31-24. Green Bay wins 48-32. So my over of 55 went to 80, but I had the game over 44, which it easily got to. The Rams in Detroit, I had 34-30 Rams. It was 24-23, but my over still wins. I did think the Rams would win, but I didn't. Like I said, you could have taken the Rams in 9, which obviously won, but I went over 45, and that one also. A little bit tighter, but after the way they played the first half, I'm shocked the way they played the second half. I mean, it's 21-17 at halftime, 38. I need one touchdown to win my over, and I get 3 field goals in the second half. It was like all the emotion was drained. It's like Detroit came out all like, we're going to win. We're Detroit. And in the second half, they came out like a mouse. I didn't do shit. And Goff showed what he's about, although he didn't throw the interception I thought he would. Stafford looked great. I'll tell you that Puka Nuka. I mean, this is the first game I watched, the Rams. I tend to watch the highlights, but I tend not to get too many Ram games in Detroit. They just don't show them. And from what I could see, they just Puka Nuka looks incredible. He was better than Cooper Kupp yesterday. You throw him the ball and you can't tackle him. He still gets 5 yards. This guy's superstar, Puka Nuka. So 24-23. Again, the Rams kicked 2 field goals, but I get enough points because I had a big first half. But the difference between first half and second, this game should have been in the 30s easily. But it's okay. We get the over. And now, Philly and Tampa. The only one out's A.J. Brown for Philly, and Darius Slay, the cornerback. Tampa Bay seems pretty healthy. Mayfield against Hurts. I honestly think Mayfield's the better pure quarterback, but Hurts is a better runner. Philly's an over team. They have a 28 defense, and with Matthew whatchamacallit, Matt Patricia as your defensive coordinator, it ain't going to get any better. Tampa Bay is an under team. They score about 20 and they give up 23. So the way I look at this game, Hurts against Mayfield, not a lot of wind. Bobby will be there to make sure we win. So you could see, Tampa and +9, they're a home dog. Well, Greg, the Rams were the better team yesterday. The refs forgot to call that defensive pass interference, which would have won the game for the Rams. Even though the guy got tackled, well, that's okay. He was going for the ball. Oh, really? Nothing. They're all teasers, so knock 6 off of that total. Which total are you talking? Buffalo Pitt? Knock 6 off of what total? So Philly was playing well. They had a murderous schedule. So they go ahead and they beat Dallas. They beat Kansas City. I think they beat Buffalo. And then here comes San Francisco, and it kills them. And then the next week they got Dallas. They got some injuries. They lose their confidence. They're in big fucking trouble. Now, I think what normally happens is they regroup. I was looking over 37.5 in the Bucks game. Yeah, I think it's a high-scoring game. I'm getting to that. So I think, okay, it's the playoffs. Let's play. Even with Matt Patricia. So Philly's the over team with the 28 defense. So I look for them to score, but they can't stop a high school team. Tampa is an under team, which is pretty pathetic in their division with Atlanta and New Orleans and Carolina. The game that really stands out is the fucking Carolina 9-0 game. Now, I had Tampa in 3 because they win and they're in the playoffs, but I'm not expecting 9-0. What the fuck was that about? So I think they play looser and realize Philly's going to score all day on them. They got to score. On the right brainwaves, yeah. No problem, nothing. So Philly being the over team, and I don't think Tampa can stop him. Hurts had a hurt finger when he followed through on a helmet. Okay, Stafford did that yesterday. He didn't miss it down. And thank God they didn't go to the backup, whatever his name is. Oh, I hate that guy. So I got a score of 37-34 Philadelphia. I don't know that. Tampa's coach is terrible. Mayfield 28-10, so he can throw point. I don't know what happened in Carolina, but he can score. And Hurts is 23-15, but he runs a lot. So I look for I look for the Philly offense to put up points. And Tampa Bay will have no choice but to try to match them. They can't play. We're going to run the ball 3-4 times and try to win. So now it's playoffs. So they have to play to win. Like yesterday, it was boom, boom, first half, every team scored in the Lions game. And then it became trying to win, playing not to lose. And the Rams were there in the Super Bowl. The Lions never have. So the Lions were really shaky. I don't think Tampa can hold Philly's offense, but I don't think Philly's defense can hold as bad as Tampa's offense is. I think they'll score. Philly with the 28 defense, Tampa with the 23 defense. So Tampa should get into the at least 20s and Philly probably in the 30s. I don't look at Tampa's defense and go, oh, wow, it's the 84 beers or 85 beers or Lawrence Taylor. There's nobody on it like that. So I think Philadelphia resets, says, okay, this is the playoffs. Let's play. We're too good. We're in the fucking Super Bowl last year. I don't see them going out 21-0. I don't think I'm wrong, but we'll see. So I got Philly 37, Tampa 34. I think Philly knows how to win, and Mayfield doesn't, unless it's Ohio State. But now he's not playing Ohio State. He doesn't get Ohio State in the playoffs. But I just see Philly being able to score, and then they can't stop Tampa because Matt Patricia. They'll play this soft too deep zone, and Tampa will eat it up. They've got the receivers. They got Godwin and Evans. So from that standpoint, well, I just made that comment, Greg, that Tampa beat them 9-0, but we don't know what happened in that game. Could have been a lot of turnovers. Let's go for it on fourth down. I mean, we don't know what happened. And so maybe I'll get a chance to watch the highlights from last week. But Tampa scored more, scored points on other teams. So it's not like you can't look at one game at Carolina and go, oh, they only scored 9. They average about 20 a game. Mayfield's hurt. The ribs and an ankle, but he'll take the needle for the ankle and the ribs. He better wear a rib protector. I don't see how Tampa stops Philadelphia, which makes me not want to take Tampa 9, although it is a bet. I think Philly goes up and down the field and scores. In Tampa, I don't think Philly can stop Tampa. Again, I'm looking at this game like I looked at the Lions game. I look at Philly as an over team, so I've got to make the bet of an over bet. Can Tampa? I would much rather have Green Bay going in this game, and then at 43, and we'd go way over. That's the ideal matchup you want, is a Green Bay Philly type of matchup, 2 over teams, or a Kansas City maybe against. Maybe against Pittsburgh, where you're not going to get 10 points in the game. But that's what you're doing, is you're figuring out the team. So we know Miami, KC. We know Pitt, Buffalo. Now we got a better feeling on Green Bay. We know Dallas chokes. We now have a better feel on the Rams and Detroit. We know Philly scores. We know they're an over team. We know the Niners put up 50 on them. And we're really not sure on Tampa. Are they this great defensive team, which I don't think they are. Plus, we hate the coach. The coach is terrible. So you're just hoping Mayfield. We only need 37. We only need 20-17 in this game. So my score is totally independent what the total is or anything. It's what I think the score will be. This is how you handicap. This is how you pick games. You must look at the games and okay, Philly an over team, no defense. And Tampa, they don't score a lot and not much of a defense. What do you think the score is going to be? So I'm 37-34. It's just the feel. I'm not looking at statistics. I'm not looking at anything. I'm feeling the game going, well, when I look at it, I don't see how Philly won't get in the 30s. I think they're going to be pissed off. But then I don't see how they can really stop Tampa. And if you get into the 30s, Tampa gets into the 30s with you. And I don't see any way Tampa can stop Philly, which now leads to the score, 37-34. Now we focus on what's the total, 43. Oh, that's a joke. They'll get that by halftime. All we need is 20-17. I guarantee you in the first half, somebody will be in the 20s. And what we've been looking at in the playoffs, except for the Kansas City game, and even then you had 20 at half, is More high scoring. They need the game. Now, I didn't see any idiot moves by the Lions going for it on fourth down. If they did, they would have lost. Even the Rams, they all kick field goals. So now it becomes less fake punting, less less fake punting, and less going for it on fourth down. Didn't see any of that shit yesterday with the Lions, which I was shocked because they got the stupidest coach. So with that said, Buffalo Pitt, I don't see a lot of points. Buffalo's got a very good defense, and we know Pitt's got a good defense. Forget J.J. Watt being out. They still have a good defense. It's the system. And then Philly, has no defense. Tampa, who do they play? Atlanta, New Orleans, and Carolina twice. That's 6 of their games. So you really don't get anything there. And Philly doesn't have a real strong defense. So I just see it as a higher scoring game. And you only got a 43. I don't know why. There's no weather problems. There's 10-mile-an-hour winds and 70 degrees. And it's a playoff game. I don't see how Philadelphia doesn't score 30 points in this game. We only need 37. That means Tampa scores 7. And on this defense, I don't see how they don't score at least 20. I don't see how this game is under 30-20. That's a 50-point game. I would never bet this game under. So let's take a philosophical look. Okay, I'll take, let's go under 49 in this game. Am I insane? In a Philadelphia game, trying to bet it under? You got to be out of your mind. So with that said, it's another way to figure out how to bet. Because it's a teaser, we get the 6 points. We can say, well, it's a teaser, Do you want Philly in 3? Do you want Tampa in 9? I can't trust Tampa's going to stop Philly's offense. And I know Philly can't stop Tampa. They could win by 10, Philadelphia. The most likely, this is very close to the score. We'll see. I haven't been dead on. I mean, I was, Dallas 31-24. They lose 48-32, but I got it over, just like the Lion game. Should have been higher scoring. But pretty much, like the Houston game, it's totally unknown. And that's why the only bet on that was an over. And again, 38. And here it's 37. I mean, they're very low totals, but we have offensive teams. So it makes sense. And the Pitt Buffalo, we have defensive teams. So the only unders I played this week, Miami, Kansas City, not a problem. And then Buffalo Pitt should be very similar. I don't know what the wind chill is, but I would imagine it's 0 in Buffalo off the wind, off the lake. Nothing. Totals are fun, love over and everything except boxing. You can bet overs and unders in boxing. Tampa is playing at home, looking at a bit of rain. Florida shit, no real wind. Yeah, but I'm not. So that probably makes it an over the rain anyway. Bobby Bo is. What's Bobby? Is he going to the game, Bobby Bo? He's probably not interested because LSU's not in it. All right, so far 4-0. The lock hit. Kansas City under. Detroit over. Shouldn't have been that close to hit. I mean, we got 47. We needed 45, but it shouldn't have been. You got a 21-17 first half. How do you end 24-23? So it shows you the Lions only got 3 points in the second half. Hence, you can't trust Goff. Nothing. Over-under rounds in boxing was nice this weekend. So you bet how many rounds the fight will go? That's kind of weird. Too bad we can't bet on wrestling. You could have bet The Rock or Stone Cold. Andre the Giant never lost. What would the odds on Andre the Giant be? Bet 1,000 to win 100, and I still would have bet 1,000. All right. So what we know is next week, we know that Green Bay goes to Frisco, which is going to be a really rough game. And we got Detroit hosting whoever wins the Philly-Tampa game. And the other one, we got Houston at Baltimore. And then we've got, well, that was the 4 seed. No, we don't. If Pitt wins, Pitt goes to Baltimore, Houston goes to Kansas City. If Buffalo wins, then KC plays Buffalo at Buffalo. Normally they play the game at Kansas City, and Houston goes to Baltimore. So this will be very, we don't know anything. This is so stupid moving this Buffalo game back. So let's say you've invested and you got tickets to this game. This is supposed to be yesterday. So you got your hotel and your plane ticket, and now they just moved the game to Monday. So only the people in the Buffalo area, now they got to take the day off of work to go to the game. And people who bet got fucked because you're betting on 25-mile-an-hour winds and snow, right? And it's a bullshit thing. They got to get the field ready and play. You don't cancel a game because it fucks up everything. And you can't fuck the gambling. So the bet I made last week was based on these high winds. Is now I'm not getting that. Well, I'm getting 13-mile-an-hour wind or 15-mile-an-hour winds. But as long as I get 0 temperature, then I'll be okay. So we'll see what it is with the wind chill. But it's bullshit. You can't change the game. So we still don't know. Here it's Monday, and Baltimore doesn't know who they're playing, and Kansas City doesn't know who they're playing, and Houston doesn't know who they're playing. It's bullshit. At least Frisco knows they got Green Bay. They can start studying it yesterday night, and Detroit knows they can watch the Philly-Tampa game, which is the problem. And now, I don't know which day which game's on yet, but now, let's say Philly wins. They've lost their Monday, so they can't rest Monday. They have to be ready to go. And let's say it's Saturday. They don't have a long time of rest. It's ridiculous. You cannot have playoff games on a Monday. It's totally unfair to the people who play the game on Monday who then have to play, let's say, Saturday or Sunday. It's absolutely ridiculous what they're doing. Oh, so they can make $1 million. Like they don't make millions of dollars. So instead of doing this shit, just charge the TV guys more, saying if you want the game, we'll do it Sunday at, whatever time. Or this should have been 3 games Saturday, 3 games Sunday is what this should have been. And just charge them more. Charge them what you would have made on this game on a Monday night, which is just ridiculous. I don't even know if I'll remember there's a game on. I'll probably go swimming after this, and I got a 4 o'clock phone call, and then that. It's not just. This is a football class and an economics class. So instead of doing 2 separate, we talk football, we talk gold and economics also. But it's a class I'm teaching. I don't mind comments as long as they make sense to the class. So don't worry about it. No, it's okay. The boxing, it's still gambling. That's okay. I don't know who any of those guys are. I don't follow it. In that sense, now if you brought up Sugar Ray Leonard and Hagler and Hearns, I'd know who you're talking about. I saw them shoveling the snow at the stadium. Where are you, in Buffalo, Greg John, or what are you talking on TV? It's as dumb as putting a playoff game on Peacock. Yeah, that's really dumb. They got 2 feet. Well, let them play in the 2 feet of snow. I don't care. It's football. I mean, you're going to play in Buffalo. You're going to get 2 feet of snow. You want to move your – see, they still want to start Labor Day, but then they wanted to add a week. So now it's 18 weeks instead of 17 with another bye. You need to start the game before Labor Day, right? So this is what you run into. You run in the middle of January in Buffalo and Green Bay, you might get snow and cold. I mean, that's what you want. You can't delay the game. That game should have been played in 2 feet of snow. Too bad. They played in front of cardboard cutouts and pumped in noise for a season. There you go. There's no reason they couldn't have played the game. It's the same for both teams. And this, believe me, once you start running and tackling on snow, it doesn't stay 2 feet. As you walk on it, it goes down to nothing. So that's a bad excuse. And there's something called a tarp. So maybe you put the tarp over the field. How about that for an ingenious way? And then before the game, you remove the tarp. And maybe you get something called a tractor. I know most people haven't heard of it. And you plow the field. I know I saw it in the New England game where the guy came out for a field goal. So it's too bad. Snow is not a reason to cancel the game. I'm not sure lightning is, but they do lightning. But, it's too much of the safety shit. I throw up every time there's a kickoff and the guy calls a fair catch. What the fuck is that? It's part of the game. You don't call a fair catch. You got to take the ball and run. Otherwise, why have a kickoff? But then why get rid of it? Because we've had it since 1930. We've had a kickoff. How else do you start the game? And the guy takes a fair catch? That's ridiculous. The rules they've made are ridiculous. They don't understand what the game is. It's like playing golf and changing all the rules. No, if it's in the water, he gets a free takeout, or if it's in the sand, he can move his lie. And it's just ridiculous. The game's the game. You can't go fucking around with it. Well, they might get injured. Then let them play tennis. I don't know what to tell you, but I'm so tired of these guys. Well, they might get hurt. Then don't play football. It's very easy. I mean, look at Stafford yesterday. He had the thing in his fingers, and from hitting the helmet, he played. They didn't stop the game because he hurt his finger. That's part of the game, and he played with the hurt finger. Duh. So I don't really see what the fuck they're doing worried about injuries. So anyway. So again, today I got Buffalo 24-9. They're laying 10, which is a big number. I don't get that, and a 38. So I think I like the under. I think it'll be cold. And the fact Pitt's got a good defense, as does Buffalo's got a very good defense. An 18 and a 20 defense. Okay, J.J. Watt's out. They got other linebackers. It's Pittsburgh. Jack Ham will go in. Jack Lambert. And then Philly, who I don't think they can stop, and I don't think with Matt Patricia can do anything to Tampa. I wouldn't be surprised if Bobby was out there quarterbacking for Tampa and putting up 35. I think against Patricia, he could do that. I got a question. What's Philly doing with Matt Patricia? Either you like your defensive coordinator or not. Now, I know their defensive coordinator moved on from last year. It's almost becoming, my thought is, to don't even hire head coaches anymore. You hire an offensive coordinator and you hire a defensive coordinator. What do you need a head coach for? None of them are any good, apparently. Because as soon as, look at Philadelphia, they lost their offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator, and they apparently suck. And they tried to replace them with a new defensive coordinator, didn't work out. The offensive coordinator, their offense isn't really working very well either. This game bothers me a little, Philly. but I think it's got such a low number, 37. I need 20 to 17. I just find I would have a hard time believing I can't get it. So we'll see. This is probably the most questionable of all the picks. Is this, but I have it with Cleveland over the Cleveland Houston game over. So this isn't a bigger game. So in other words, when you're betting teasers, the bet on Detroit, Kansas City was 33 units. This bet's 15 units. You can see the difference. So if I'm putting it in my $5,000 guy's hands, he's maybe betting $350 on the Lion lock, and he's probably betting $100 on this game. That's how you win, because you know you're going to lose. Hopefully not. Hopefully we go 8-0 or 6-0, I guess. But you want to win your big ones and lose your little ones. So this I really can't trust. I can't trust Patricia. I can't trust me. So you end up with a smaller bet, and this was played with Cleveland over with Houston. So it was a very small bet, but I love Kansas City and I love Detroit. So when you looked at it, Kansas City with a strong defense and the cold versus and then Detroit, LA, I knew would be high scoring. That would be the lock based on that. That's why Detroit was your free play. I love Detroit over because I love Stafford was going to light them up with the Lions' bad secondary. And like I said, there was a couple of penalties that weren't called, especially that one on Pukanuka at the end of the game where it was obvious pass interference. But, okay. They didn't call it, which cost us the game because we would have won 26-24. So this will be interesting. So next week, we know the Niners and Baltimore are home. We know Detroit's at home to whoever loses this game. And Buffalo wins. They're at home to Kansas City. If Pitt wins, then KC gets another home game. And Pitt goes to Baltimore, and KC hosts Houston, I believe. So very interesting. So, I mean, Detroit, like, I think their biggest fear right now is, besides San Francisco's Green Bay, I think Detroit handles either of these teams. Philly just has no defense, and I think Detroit shuts them down. I guess they'd be more worried about Tampa, but Tampa's such a bad team. So Detroit should win next week's game. Their hardest opponent was the Rams. The way Green Bay took care of Dallas, that's going to be a hell of a game, Green Bay and Frisco. Probably another over. And that's what we'll do. But we'll look at the lines tomorrow because we don't even know half the games yet, right? Depending on what happens with Buffalo and Philly tells us who's at Detroit. Is Buffalo at is there a KC at home game? We don't even know who Baltimore plays, and we know Frisco plays Green Bay. So nothing to really look at. But I hate this Monday night playoff games, and then they're going to play Saturday. At least there'll be 4. And if they're on Peacock, they're out of their fucking minds. Having these games on Peacock, here's the best way I made it. I've been watching playoffs since, I watched the Ice Bowl, right? So to me, you never paid for football on TV. And they'd always have the commercials, and you realize that's how you're paying. But the game would always be on CBS or NBC, and then it went to Fox. You never paid to play. Now you want me to pay to watch a fucking game on Peacock. Only the league's so bad right now. Who am I watching? You want me to pay to watch Tagliabue? Sorry, it's avocado. I mean, is that who you want me to pay for? It's not Jim Brown. It's not Gale Sayers or Peyton. It's not Lawrence Taylor. It's not Joe Montana. The fuck am I going to watch? Tag Tagliavua, light it up. So it's the same as YouTube. I am not going to pay so I don't get commercials. I've been watching YouTube. I've been on here for 14 years. The fuck if I'm going to pay not to pay for commercials. Now, if it gets too bad, I might have to. But at this point, I just look for the skip, boom, skip, 5 seconds skip. And then I got to rewind to get back into whatever they were talking about, mostly when I'm watching gold and silver and these football game highlights. The guy's about to kick a field goal and they go to a commercial. The guy snapped the ball and then commercial. And you're like, are you out of your fucking minds putting commercials at the point he's kicking it? I can't wait for the 5 seconds to skip. I mean, I'm not paying any attention to the commercial. It's so stupid. Lake effect snow in January. Who knew? Exactly. If I'm watching Danny DeVito, it's going to be on It's Always Sunny. Well, exactly. And you're not going to pay for that, right? So all I know is if you got Tubi, Cincinnati Kids on it. Now that's a movie worth watching. And it's funny at the end when the old man beats him, and it's like, it's a fucking cooler. What do you? You're the best. You're not the best. The guy never got an opportunity to all in you, and then you pull 20 grand out of your wallet. That's bullshit. You got to have the money on the table. You can't be pulling money out of a wallet. I would have just walked away. I would not. I'd say, you can't play that. That's not on the table. You got $5 grand up your ass and you're going to pull it out. How can I go all in on you if I don't know how much money you have? It's illegal to do that. If I'm playing poker at MGM or at Caesars in Vegas, you got to have the money on you can't go, oh, I got 4 kings. Oh, wait, let me take $2,000 out of my pocket and bet it. No. It's the money on the table. And you can't even cover your chips up where the black chips are 100 and the green are 25 and the red are 5. You can't hide the blacks. So I think you only have 200. Oh, yeah, but I got these 3 blacks. I really got 500. You can't hide them. I got to know exactly how much you have, or at least I can see how much you have. You can't surprise me. I can't hide money in my pocket and pull it out because I got a full house. So I thought that scene was ridiculous. No, Cincinnati Kids. It's about whatchamacallit. What's his fucking name? Oh my God. Really? I can't think of this guy's name. It's a poker movie. Steve McQueen. And Steve McQueen's great. I mean, you'd love Steve McQueen. And he's a poker player and he plays Edward G. Robinson, who's the man, and he's trying to be the man. And it's a real good movie. Highly recommend it. It's like in the 60s though. But very good. The Paul Newman movie is The Hustlers, is the pool movie, but this one's very good. Yeah, you love it. Steve McQueen's just classic in it. But yeah, very good. I mean, if you play poker, you'd love it. Better than Rounders. Rounders is terrible. Fuck off. I'm not here. I hate getting calls that are like, you answer, hello, and then nobody's there. And I just block them. I'm like, because they should answer. If you're calling me and you're not answering, you're a scam or you're selling me life insurance or something. And I love telling them, I go, no, I don't need a life insurance. I have gold. So, so basically tonight we got Buffalo 24-9. I don't see how they don't win. They got Josh Allen, unless Rudolph really lights it up, which I don't see. Buffalo has a very good defense, and I just don't see a lot of points. And then Philly, Tampa. Phillies should score and give up, and I can't imagine this game not being at least 28-24, which is a 52, and we need 37. That's the minimum, but I can see this game getting into the 30s because you're going to get your pick sixes, and Philly's going to need it, and they're trying to fight back. I just see them playing a good effort. If their defense is good enough, they win. All right, so that's that. We look at gold today, 2055. Again, this is paper gold, not physical. There's a big difference. Please let me know if you don't understand that. Paper gold is derivative gold derived from people doing options and derivatives, which are paper. They don't have the physical coins. So you need to understand that. Don't have the physical coins. It's a bullshit price. It's a scam by JP Morgan and Comex. They want to keep the price down because they want you not to be in dollars. That's the point of it. They want to keep you in dollars because all the Ponzi schemes are in dollars. Stock market, the bond market, the banks, all the Ponzi schemes are in dollars. So they don't want you in gold. Plus, they can't track you in gold. So when I buy an ounce of gold, it goes into my safe. Nobody knows I got it. And they want to know our business. They want to control us, so they don't know what to do if we're in gold. So look at the gold price is low. And that's what they do. So there was 2 videos that I caught this morning. I couldn't breathe, so I got up at 4 o'clock. I just have I don't know what it is. My nose was plugged. And so I wake up at 4 and I'm kind of uncomfortable, like, fuck. So I blow my nose, go to the bathroom, and then turn on some YouTube to relax. And this is what I found. So the first one is an Egon one. Not a lot into it that we didn't already know, but there's a few key points. There's a lot of risks because they're printing the dollars. So you have to understand that because it's paper and it's not backed by gold, the banks are free to print. And the more you print, there becomes too much out there. It's not worth anything. And we're at the point where our dollar isn't worth anything. So it makes inflation, which is inflating the supply of the money, which makes the money worthless, is where we're at. It's also this huge debt thing, and the debt is half the budget. So imagine your home budget. You got your car payment, you got your food, you got your mortgage, your utilities, you go to the gym. But imagine that half of that is in credit card debt or, not mortgage debt, because mortgage is like, a couple grand a month. The interest is included in there. And if you fix it, it's not a big deal. But let's say your credit card debt, you get $20,000 in credit card, and then $1,000 of your thing a month is just the interest on the credit cards. So when you look at what they're doing here, you've got $35 trillion in debt. Are you out of your fucking mind? Trillion. So it's over almost 2 trillion a year now, and it's going to be like 37 trillion in a year once they get to the new budget. And all the presidents do, and the government is pass it on. They manipulate the price to make it look good, so they get voted in. And once they're in, they go, oh, we missed that. Oh, it's not 34 million, it's a trillion, it's 37 trillion. So again, there's huge inflation and huge debt, and then you have to pay for the debt. And where do we get the money? Nobody wants our money because nobody thinks the dollar's worth anything. Well, you've printed it to zero why would I buy your dollar? So I'm Germany. Why the fuck would I want this? It's not worth anything. I'm buying gold. Thank you very much. But I don't want your debt. You're never going to pay me back. That's what you do the credit analysis with. So if you go to buy a car, they look at your credit score. And if your credit score is 700, they go, oh, yeah, he's going to pay me back. If it's 300, they're going, fuck, he's not going to pay me back. If I do loan him, it's going to be a high interest rate, or I'm not loaning him because it's too expensive. I don't want to loan money to anybody if the risk is I won't get paid back. That's a pretty stupid thing. If it's, if you're a bank and you're a business, not loaning to, a friend who needs $500, you're probably not. If I give Daria money, it's not a loan. I'm not expecting her to pay me back, but it is it's a gift. I'm giving her a gift. But if I was to loan somebody money, would I expect to get paid back? This is, you'd have to see, well, what's your credit score? It's a lot like football. You're looking at the history to see, well, have you paid back other loans? And if you have, okay. In my credit score, I paid off 3 credit cards, a house. I just paid off a car. Yeah, I'm probably a pretty good risk. That's why I keep getting calls if I need money. So then you have also the military expense. So you're trying to run a government, right? You've got this huge debt. You've got massive inflation where the money isn't worth anything. Oh, by the way, you've got this huge military expense because you're in wars that cost a lot of money. You got to buy bullets and missiles and rockets and planes and trains and automobiles and jeeps and airplanes and all this shit you need, and you got to feed all the men, so you need food for them and clothing. Very expensive. The defense industry is running the government, not the other way around. So the defense industry wants the wars, so they make sales. Hardly what they're supposed to be doing. So that's a lot of what Egon did. So I'm going to get to the there's a point on crypto that I want to share because I know we have cryptos in the room. And crypto is really a lottery. I might win at it, I might not, but I'm going to play it. I could win $50 million, but it's really not an asset, and it's not, so people's argument is crypto's money. It's not money. Money can be, I can go to a restaurant and use crypto to pay for steak dinner. I can't. They don't take it. There's no value in it. I don't know what it is. Not only that, I don't actually get anything in my hand. This is in my hand, right? I got the money. I got the euro. I've got the Mahomes card. I've got the gold. It's all in my hand. There is nothing in your hand when it comes to digital currency. That's why you keep having these Ponzi schemes. So you had Bankman, and then you had that one I showed you yesterday, the Queen in Bulgaria ripping people off. The new OneCoin, only it's not real. It's another Ponzi scheme. I've never seen so many Ponzi schemes with crypto, and yet everybody's jumping in it. I'm going to get rich. I'm going to get rich. I'm like, how stupid are you people? What do you mean you're going to get rich? Based on what? What drives the price? Gold, at least I have, and I know I'm going to get rich on gold. I know I'm going to lose everything in dollars. Will I get rich on the Mahomes card or the Montana card? Maybe Montana's 125 grand. The Jordan rookie, yeah, I'll probably get rich on that. I don't have the rookie. I have the second year. So it ends up, what is it? So let's listen to Egon and we will get a feel.
It doesn't mean that people shouldn't continue to speculate in it, or maybe some people also hold
on crypto, Egon, and that usually now means a conversation on Bitcoin. I'd love to get your thoughts. I'll throw in mine. We don't have to be anti-crypto to be pro-gold. I think they're very, very different asset classes, but I'll let you start with that.
Yes, well, we've always had a strong view about cryptos, and I'm still, first of all, I think it's wonderful the people who got into Bitcoin early and made a lot of money, and good on them. I mean, it is an incredibly interesting speculative instrument. We don't think,
but it's the same thing if you bought the lottery. So if you made $10 million in the lottery, or you made 10 billion in Bitcoin, what's the difference? You took this huge gamble and you won. And what I hate is the people that want to brag about it. I made a stupid thing and I won. I played the lottery and I won. Okay, you're an idiot. I bought Bitcoin. You're an idiot. I knew Bitcoin when it was cheap. I'm playing poker and people are telling me, and I go, what is it? I go, it ain't money. If I can't touch it, it ain't money, and I can't use it. It's a Ponzi scheme. I knew that 10 years ago at a poker table, and I was right. And for people that took the risk to buy it, it was an incredibly stupid idea. Now, the fact you made money on it, you can make money in the lottery too. Doesn't make it a smart idea. You just got really lucky being an idiot. And that's what the Bitcoin people are really stupid, making a bad decision, but making money at it. And then they have to tell you about it because I guess it tries to justify their ignorance. I don't sit there and tell you how much money I make on football. I don't tell you how much money I make on gold. I don't need to. Those are smart ideas, smart investments, and I win at it. I don't need to say, oh, I had this team and it won. I'm giving you the game before so you know. But I mean, okay, yeah, the 84 Miami-Nebraska game, I had Miami in 14. Okay, I don't sit there and try to say it. I don't say how much I won on the game. I don't say anything about it. I don't need to, because I don't need to be justified in that it was the bet won. And yet people with crypto have to, oh, I bought it at $1 and I sold it for 40,000. And yeah, I don't believe it anyway. But if you have to tell me that, then I know you made a real stupid decision. And everybody I see in the says, so sell your money now and buy gold. Gold, is going to go to the moon because it has to, because all the dollars are going away because they're printing it. So I can give you reasons and explanations. Why is Bitcoin going up? You can't give me one. It's a gimmick. It's a Ponzi scheme. Okay, people have made money, and we don't. That's fine. You can make money, picking a long shot at a race or boxing. It doesn't matter. The bottom dropped out of Bitcoin pretty hard a few years ago. If there is even a bottom in it, if it really is anything worth doing. Okay.
Crypto is wealth preservation in the same form as gold is. It certainly can act as money until central banks
can act as money.
Clamp down on it. And so far they haven't. But if, of course, anything that becomes too big and interferes with their financial system, they will stop. So in my view, Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies will never be allowed to become big. That doesn't mean that Bitcoin, for example, can't go to $1 million before this happens. It's not a forecast, but I haven't got a clue. But it could easily happen because you're just seeing how it moves. I mean, it went up to $65,000. It went up to $16,000, and in the last few months, it's gone up to we're near $45,000. That can never be a currency, of course, and gold is never that volatile. Gold moves in much longer cycles and is much more stable as an alternative currency. But as a method of payment, as long as governments don't stop it, and as long as people accept Bitcoin, of course, it's a wonderful instrument. as long as you have electricity and computers working. That's also so if you're on an island somewhere, that won't be the case. But yes. So Bitcoin can easily go to $1 million because of speculation. But it's in my view, if governments start clamping down on it and say, well, now you're too big for your boots, so Bitcoin, it can go to zero also. So in our view, we are not looking at Bitcoin from a point of view wealth preservation. But it doesn't mean that people shouldn't continue to speculate in it, or maybe some people also hold it as an emergency currency, bearing in mind that the risk is considerably higher than for gold. The wonderful thing about gold is that it has been money for, let's say, 5,000 years. And something that has a history of 15 years, let's say, you could never say that will replace gold. We don't know what's going to happen to Bitcoin. Or it's more likely that governments, of course, will try to evolve their digital currencies and use that to control the people. I hope, and I think in the end, that leads to a totalitarian state in the end. And we know what happens in totalitarian states. They fail, but they can work for a certain period. What is your view about Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, Matt?
Broadly,
you should mention also, perhaps, of course, the SEC has made a very important decision now, which makes a difference.
Yeah, no, it's all related. Broadly, again, we know friends like Ronnie Sturfula, who run funds, and Larry Leopard, who run funds, who speculate in crypto. Again, we don't have to be anti-crypto to be pro-gold or mock crypto investors like others in our industry, like Jim Rickards or Peter Schiff do, and they have very strong opinions, and they're respectable opinions. Again, I think we're comparing apples to oranges. There is a narrative in the crypto space, which we all share in the gold space, of looking for a decentralized alternative currency to fiat money, something outside of the fiat system, outside of the banking system. A lot of crypto evangelicals, pound their fist on that. My experience with them is they're primarily speculators, although they use the gold narrative, similar gold narrative. To your point on price movements, in August of 2020, crypto was at 12,000. November 2021 is at 67,000. Today it's at 44,000. Those kind of moves do not suggest to me an alternative currency or a store of value. Defenders of Bitcoin would say it's a consumption.
It's just like the lottery, but people don't want to believe it. See, from what I get out of it, people understand the fiat currency. They go, what's inflation? And they start digging in. They realize inflation is they devalued the money by printing too much. And they go, how do I get out of the dollar? Because I don't want to be in the dollar. It's controlled by the mafia. It's controlled by the banks. I get taxed on it. I want to be in laissez-faire economics. I want to be in Austrian economics. That's really what they're saying, which is a good point. That's why I'm teaching Austrian economics. But there's two things. There's the sound money, which is gold, and then there's the real risk, the risky stuff. And the risky stuff is Bitcoin or the lottery or playing a 10-team teaser. Those are all risky things. And that's what you have to really look at. And but you have to understand it. They half understand it. They only know is they want to be out of the dollar. And for some reason, a no-brainer is gold. You can't lose in it. There's no risk. There's a huge return, but they don't know this. They're not taught it. You can't find it. So instead they go into Bitcoin. I'll get rich there, which is just like playing. Why do you play the lottery? Do you actually think you're going to make money in it? No. But you see a $20 million payout if I pick these numbers, and yet they don't, they play it, but it's not money. It's just, it's a gamble. And so Bitcoin's really belongs in the casino next to blackjack, craps, and roulette than Bitcoin. You don't know why it goes up. You don't know why it goes down. You know the mafia's involved. You know they're laundering money with it. It's all electric. You don't hold anything, so you don't even know if it's real. As I showed you that queen yesterday on OneCoin, and she said, it's not even real. It's a Ponzi scheme. And she made billions of dollars and then took off, and nobody can find her because it's a scam. And how do you know Bitcoin's real? You don't. You can't get the coin. That's why, from my knowledge, as an economist, as a handicapper, as a gambler, if I don't have it, I don't trust it. I was watching this thing, and here's this mafia guy, and he gets scammed because he sits there and he trusts these guys that they're getting the race results ahead of the time without seeing it. So he sits in Paul Newman's bookie shop, and they're talking about the race, which he can't see, and he loses $500,000 because he has no idea that the race isn't even being run. If you don't hold it, right? If somebody says you can have this card digitally, which means you don't actually have it, you don't actually hold it, but if you can buy from me digitally. Yeah, you and another 500 people all own this card. That's what happens in it. You're stupid with the digital. You've got to understand you don't want anything digital. You only want things you can hold because they can't take it away from you. If I have this card in my hand and it's worth $5,000, I got the card worth $5,000. If I got gold, I got gold. Nobody can say it's worth zero. You can't say it because I got it. The attack on Wall Street guy. What happened to my real estate trust? It's zero. How did it get to zero? Well, because they weren't paying off on their mortgages. So we killed all the notes that we had, because they basically bought the notes and sold them to him. So they took the notes and sold them. And that was it, because people weren't paying their mortgages. And the poor guy doesn't have any clue. He gets fucked over. But again, keep it simple. Buy gold. You can't lose. I do. That's what I'm teaching, so you can understand why you buy it. Bitcoin, I would never buy because I don't know how it works. How does the price go up? Supply and demand. Bullshit, supply and demand. How does it go down and how does it go up? How is there supply? Well, I got to load into this wallet and I get this password, but if I lose it, I'm fucked. Okay, that sounds really good. I think I'll pass on it. It makes no sense to me. Now, yeah, you get the guys that, I buy Bitcoin. Okay, good for you. I'm sure you bet on, Detroit yesterday, and you lost. That's fine. It's just not good, sound thing. Why do I buy gold? Because the dollar's going to zero. Why is the dollar going to zero? Because they're printing it to death. I can see they're printing it. I can see the inflation, which is the value of the dollar dropping because you're printing too much of it. You're inflating the supply. So once I know you're inflating the supply, how do I protect myself? And the answer is not Bitcoin, is not protect yourself. Gold protects yourself. Bitcoin is like football betting. You're speculating to make money. But at least here I can sit there and tell you, well, I know Philadelphia's starting quarterback and their defense, and I can tell you Tampa and Buffalo and Pitt. I can tell you Detroit. I can't tell you anything about Bitcoin. It's run by Russian mafia. That's all I can tell you. It's used to money launder. That's all I can tell you. The fact that BlackRock's doing an ETF, I don't give a fuck. I don't like ETFs anyway. It's all part of the Ponzi scheme. You want to buy stuff that you hold, but you want to buy gold because gold's money. They can't fuck with you with gold. You hold it, and they're price fixing it, but that's about to end, and that's what you need to know. Oh, wait, the price fix. Oh, wait, they're ending the price fix of gold? Oh, so I'm sure it's going up to 10 grand, 20 grand, 30 grand. Okay, so I know I'm going to make money on it. It's a no-brainer. I can't lose. Can you lose in Bitcoin? Yeah. So why would you do it? So that's really the point, is you have to understand what you're doing and why. Why am I in Bitcoin? It's an alternative to the dollar. Isn't gold an alternative to the dollar? Well, I don't like gold. Why not? Well, I don't know, but my friends don't like it. They like Bitcoin. I could make a lot of money in Bitcoin. You don't think you can make a lot of money in gold? Really? Okay. That's why all the central banks are in gold, and Russia and China are in gold, because they don't think they can make money in it. That sounds like a retarded answer to that. That's not even thought out, or you really don't have an answer, do you? You're really just saying something, which I hear a lot of, where people will say, oh, it's supply and demand is how gold works. Oh, really? You think so? You don't think it's price fixed? You don't think it's paper gold? It's run by derivatives. You think it's really supply and demand? Okay. Even Egon makes a bad comment. He says, well, gold's this and that, but he fails to understand it's price fixed. They all fail to understand it's price fixed, and they're looking at paper prices, not physical. And when they say it's not the value of the gold going up, this is where they're wrong. It is the value of the gold going up, because it's been suppressed. That's why it's the value of the gold going up, because the currency's been going down and gold's not going up. It goes up a little based on JP Morgan price fixing it, but not where it should be. So that's really what my issue is with the Bitcoiners. Stagnated wages, nothing for something. What does that mean? The bottom dropped out of Bitcoin. Seems like we are headed towards the barter system. Now we're headed towards the gold system. Well, you got to understand, wages are based on the earnings of the company. So the company goes down because they can't afford, they've got higher prices or higher costs, but they can't charge more for it. Nobody has the extra money that they need. Like Coca-Cola 2 liters are now, I saw for $3.58. Well, they're not selling at $2.79. Nobody has extra money to buy a 2 liter of Coke at $3.50, so they can't pass it on. Therefore, they can't make the extra money, and if they do, it's all going to everything else is costing more, which is based on the dollar being worthless. The dollar's losing its value. Things aren't going up in cost. It just takes more dollars to buy the same thing. So wages, if you're making 100 grand 2 years ago, now you're making 100 grand, you're really making 90 grand. In fact, you want to get paid in gold if you can, because none of your money will be worthless, but you pay your bills in the same worthless dollars. So as much as you can save, you buy gold and silver with. All right. So is there anything after 17? Well, let's see.
Phase, and that'll come. And again, gold will succeed either way, so we don't have to mock or castigate crypto investors. But I think the evidence speaks for itself that crypto is a speculative asset, not an alternative currency.
It's not an asset.
Despite central banks like El Salvador adopting it. You could argue that'll happen, but central banks in the East are collecting gold at record levels, not crypto. Sophisticated developed economies are stacking gold, not crypto. Again, it doesn't mean crypto is a joke. There's been headlines recently about crypto. Obviously, Binance had a massive multi-billion-dollar lawsuit for not following anti-money laundering and KYC rules. Of course, you had Sam Bankman-Fried with the FTX disaster. Those were human failures, not blockchain failures. And I don't think it's a direct threat. Some could say it's helping the Bitcoin industry can get more clean. What I find interesting on the human side, including the SEC, the human side of Bitcoin, which is making headlines, You had Larry Fink, who's a human, all too human individual by every stretch of the imagination. I don't know where our antitrust laws in America went, but BlackRock in 2017 was openly mocking Bitcoin as just a money laundering tool. Now, Larry Fink and BlackRock are going to do a spot ETF, which the SEC is going to regulate. And, Larry Fink wants to buy 4 of the 5 largest Bitcoin miners. So he sees a financial speculation opportunity. He has no worldview. He sees an opportunity because he's a speculator. And I think,
it's an asshole.
Whether that's good or bad for Bitcoin, it takes away its decentralized theme when you have a BlackRock ETF. And depending on the market cap of that ETF, there's a lot to be said about the future of Bitcoin. And again, God bless those that have made money. You and I both know a lot of people who come to us in Switzerland who made money in Bitcoin as a speculation asset, who then want to convert it to gold as a preservation asset. So let's just call a duck a duck. I think right now, Bitcoin is a fantastic opportunity. Some call it a tulip. I certainly made money on .com bubbles assets. Don't regret it, but that was a speculation play. Now I'm in a wealth preservation mode. They're very different mentalities. I think gold will be both a preservation and a speculation asset in the coming years because of all the rivers that lead towards gold. But I think, again, I'll close with, there's been alchemy throughout history, people trying to find ways, metallurgists, philosophers, thinkers, trying to find ways to come up with a new gold with different metals and different alloys, and it never worked. Many could argue that Bitcoin is another attempt to make something out of nothing into gold. I don't think it's gold. And I think the key thing in terms of a true stable store of value and a future preservation asset, there is a reason central banks and sophisticated wealth preservation asset investors are buying physical gold, not crypto. Crypto is a fantastic trade mechanism. So that's my view. It's not to mock crypto investors, wish them the best. And that kind of volatility, we'll put up a chart, just the volatility comparing gold to Bitcoin. It stands for itself. It just does. And
so Matt, we have talked about now the some of the risks related to gold, and of course war was the first one, and that is a major risk area. And the second one, crypto is very much related to gold. Some people see it as the same, and for the reasons we have explained, we don't quite see that. That doesn't mean that we dismiss Bitcoin, but we're specializing in wealth preservation, and therefore we don't see Bitcoin being part of that. So these were, Matt, the first 2 subjects that we were going.
Okay, alligator.
This AI trading bot, it just turned $500 into $5,000 in just 5 minutes of work. How? Let me show you. This. Other than that.
Okay, so this is alligator. He had 2 on. And I'm not gonna, I'm writing them down so I know exactly where to go to. So I'm gonna go to 40.
Trying to protect export trade by ensuring that the yuan is, sort of at some sort of comparative level to the dollar in the foreign exchanges, she's going to, at some stage, turn around and have to protect the yuan from a collapsing dollar.
This is China.
So that's the first thing. Other countries which could go that way, I think Saudi Arabia will. I think Saudi Arabia would probably begin to go that way by taking more and more payments in gold. I mean, not totally in gold. I mean, she'll run some sort of balance. I mean, this is this fits in with the end, if you like, of the exclusivity which the Saudis gave and OPEC gave to the dollar as the exchange medium for oil and gas. So, that's now happened, which is interesting. And as a side point, I was talking to a director of one of the Swiss gold refineries back in 2014. So, this was some time ago, 9 years ago now. And he told me that they were taking in 400-ounce LBMA bars from Middle Eastern sources with instructions to re-refine them into the new Chinese 49 standard and then ship them back to the owners. Now that's interesting because it tells me that this idea that suddenly the Saudis are booting out the Americans and embracing the Chinese. I think that the strategists, in Saudi Arabia and elsewhere, the businessmen with real wealth to protect, understood even that long ago that the future for Saudis' oil exports was very much bound up with the dynamics of China and India, which at that stage were beginning to really sort of take off. So I can see the Saudis doing it. Now, as far as BRICS are concerned, I think that BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization will move towards replacing the dollar as that sort of stepping stone between currency transactions from currency A to currency B with credit backed by gold, whose value is entirely tied to gold. Russia has taken on the presidency of BRICS as of January the 1st. She plans, and this is according to Putin's speech on New Year's Day about BRICS, she plans 200 meetings, which is 5 a week, over the course of this year, held in Russia, educating BRICS and also potential applicants for BRICS as to where Russia sees this going. And I would bet worthless dollars against gold that the BRICS gold trade settlement currency, which for lack of actually defining it, will be back on the agenda, and this time it will pass. The meeting, the big meeting, the big final meeting is actually in October, whereas it was in August in Johannesburg. So that's going to give them 10 months basically to achieve this, and I think they will, because by then I would fully expect the dollar to be in serious decline because of all the debt trap and and all the other factors we mentioned earlier. So, other than that, I think that countries. I mean, it's amazing how countries like even Kenya. The president of Kenya seems to understand the benefits of sound money as opposed to credit. Now, I mean, he's presided, not him, but his predecessors have presided over a collapsing shilling. This is the big lesson. Look, it's confidence in your fiat currency. And, if you're a tin pot country somewhere in the middle of Africa, nobody's going to value your currency. It doesn't matter how you run things. So this is the great thing. This is the great lesson. And this was really the reason that Russia must get onto a gold standard. And I think she will be the first. And she could well do it ahead of that October meeting. So it's going to be a very interesting year.
And just to follow up there, how do you...
So the question is anybody going on the gold standard, or when will BRICS? And so he's telling you BRICS will definitely be on the docket. It'll definitely by October, if not sooner, and Russia will be on the gold standard sooner. All that makes the gold price go to the moon because it does two things. One, who the fuck wants dollars that are not backed by anything, that are just pieces of toilet paper, when I can have a currency backed by gold? And gold you can't fuck with. You cannot print it. The big deal about gold that these Bitcoiners are not understanding is you can't print gold. And you can say Bitcoin's 21 million is limited. If you can prove there's 21 million, you're not giving me a coin. I get a gold coin. And do not play ETFs and do not play IRAs. And I was talking yesterday about these people that spent $6,000 on an ounce of gold when it really cost $2,000. And that's that's being lazy and idiot and stupid. If you're going to buy something, you check it out, right? So if I go to Target and I see this and it's $50, and then I go to Kroger's and it's $200, why the fuck would I buy it at Kroger's? I'd go back to Target and spend $50. And that's the thing with gold. If it's easy enough to go on eBay, it's easy enough to go to these gold sites and call the gold stores and say, what are you selling it for? No tax, no shipping. So you go to the store and you know it's about $2,100 is what I should pay for an ounce of American Eagle gold coin. So if somebody's offering it to me in an IRA at $6,000, I'm telling them to go fuck themselves. Why would I pay for it? So it's my what's the word? It's my objective. No, that's not the right word. It's my ability. It's not. It's my responsibility. There, that's the word. It's my responsibility to check what the price should be and pay what the price is. And I always want to get it as cheap as possible. So when I go to the meat store yesterday and I wanted a steak, the New York's for 17, the Delmonico's 16, and here's a strip steak for 9. Well, what am I buying? I'm buying the one for 9. I bought salmon yesterday. It was on sale for $9. So I bought 2 pounds of it. But if it's 20, I'm not being scammed. I'm just willing to pay more. So if you bought gold for $6,000 in an IRA, they didn't scam you. You're just too stupid to do your work and figure out what it is. But regardless of that, gold, the reason you can't fuck with gold is you can't print it. So you can never inflate it. And when you inflate the dollar, you lose the price, right? The price drops because there's too much of it. And with gold, you can't do that. Yeah, they find a little bit out of the gold mine. Okay, but it's so immaterial that it really is not that's not what you worry about. Nobody can print thousands and thousands of ounces of gold. They can't do it. And you can buy it and you can see it and you can go, if you buy it at a store, have them check it. Once you know the store, you know they check it. My store, I don't even worry. I know they check it. So basically, if I buy it from some idiot on eBay from China and he's selling a gold bar and I can't recognize if it's real or not, the fuck am I buying it for? So if I want gold, I got to buy real gold. I got to educate myself, which I'm telling you. I'm educating you. And you go to the store and you go to a reliable store and you see what it costs. And so, it's about $2,100 now. Okay. And then you go and you bring cash and you buy it and you drive home with it. You don't have to worry about shipping and there's no sales tax because it's money. And that's all you do. And you put it away and you lock it in your safe and you sleep easy at night because they can't fuck with you. It can never wake up and be zero. It's impossible. And there's too much of a demand for it to go down in price because the demand keeps the price up. So once all these central banks want it, the price is not going down because what makes the price? The price of gold is the demand. The price of dollars is when nobody wants it. So there's something here. When there's no faith in this, when nobody wants this because they printed so much of it and it's losing its value, and everybody says, I don't want the dollar. I'll buy gold or a gold-backed brics or a brics ruble or something that is backed by gold over the dollar. So once that hits, nobody's going to want the dollar. Nobody wants the dollar now because they piss everybody off. Because if you're got Swiss francs, you want to buy euros, you have to buy the dollar to buy the euro. What the fuck is that? And this is all over the world. So it's a meaningless, it's a hidden cost that nobody wants to pay. And as he said, it'll be gold back, whatever, to switch currencies. I don't know why you can't just buy the other currency. Now I know they're all worth different is the problem. So what's a Swiss franc worth? Let's say that's worth 84 cents on a dollar and the euro is worth 90 cents on a dollar. So you think that you just give a little bit more Swiss francs to buy the euro. Why do I need the US dollar to buy the euro? So that's a big problem with the US dollar that people don't like. If you're in Europe or Asia or Africa, the fuck do I want dollars for? So that's another inflation problem because then you got to keep dollars. So once you don't want dollars and it goes away, all this dollars is going to come back and there'll be no value in the US dollar. That's all out there. That is what's happening. That's why the stock markets crash, the banks will crash, everybody will crash because you won't have the currency won't have a value. That's where we're at. So what do we do about it? And that's what I'm here for. We buy gold and silver. We have no risk and stuff that's been held down by JP Morgan and COMEX. They've kept the price down. It's so when everybody talks about, well, this is what gold did here and what gold did there, you can't make any of those comments because that's derivative paper, price fixed gold, not free market gold. So until it hits free market, you have no idea about anything that happened. I wanted to buy rubles when those sanctions dropped a while back. Couldn't find it anywhere. Go to Russia. My girlfriend's sister has a bank in Russia and a bank in the U.S. So I send her $100. She turns it in. She puts it in the account and then gives her however much it is in rubles. And that's how I help my girlfriend in Russia because they won't take dollars. Now, apparently there are banks in Russia that will take dollars and give you rubles for it. So my recommendation is to find a Russian who lives in Russia and they'll be able to buy you rubles. But you don't want to buy rubles until there's gold back. So you got to wait a few months until Russia announces we now have a gold back ruble. And then you want to get out of dollars. Well, see, it's simpler. It's just get out of dollars and buy gold. You don't need rubles. You need gold. You don't need ruble. Gold will buy you anything. Rubles, there's still, you can't spend them here. And you don't want them until they're backed by gold. You don't want any currency until it's backed by gold. That's coming very soon. All right. So that's the thing with gold. You can't print it, and therefore it can't lose its value. Therefore, it can never go to zero. Really, it doesn't go down. It's price fixed down by JP Morgan and the derivatives bullshit that they use, which is totally illegal, but because they run the courts, JP Morgan gets away with it. Yeah, we're price fixing it. Oh, okay, pay a fine and that's it. By the way, keep doing it, which is what they're doing, but it's about to blow up. And that's where I'm getting excited is, okay, buy COMEX, you're out of the picture. Now we'll get to a physical price, and it's going to go much, much higher than 2,000, especially when the dollar explodes or implodes. When it goes out, gold, see, everybody holding dollars gets fucked. It's all worth zero, right? You're holding British pounds or euros, Swiss francs, they're all worthless. All of them are worth zero, right? So all those people are like, what the fuck do we do? Oh, we need to buy gold. And as he said, 99% of the people are too stupid to understand this. So they are holding dollars, or they're in the stock market, or they're in the banks getting 9% in annuity. And it's all going to crash because it's all dollars. Anything in the dollar system will go to zero. So you're losing your money in Microsoft, or you're losing your money and you got 200 grand in the bank. What do? Well, you have a very short window. It's called buy gold and silver. And so now multiply that by how many people and countries, and you can see the price of gold and silver go way through the roof. It's sort of like the Titanic. At the end, once everybody realizes the boat's sinking, there's a frenzy for the lifeboats. And that's what happens with the gold and silver. There'll be a frenzy into gold and silver, not into Bitcoin. Nobody's running into Bitcoin at 47,000 a coin or whatever the fuck it's at, especially if you can buy gold for 2,000 or 3,000. If you can buy gold for 3,000 and Bitcoin for 47, if you ain't buying gold, you're really too stupid to talk to. I mean, you've got to be some sort of idiot to not buy gold at 3,000 and spend 47 on a Bitcoin and think it's going to go up. and then think gold won't because it's been price fixed. You have to understand it's price fixed. It's not going up, but it's not because of the market. It's because of JP Morgan, because they want you in this. There's a reason for this. That's the problem. But in Bitcoin, you don't have that because nobody takes it seriously because it's not money. Gold is money legally in the Constitution. Gold and silver should be the only money. So you have to realize that. Price fixed a decimal point on a tax return. They're coming to get you. I don't understand. Price fix a decimal point on a tax. You got me there. I don't know what you're talking about.
Think that will be executed in practice? Will it require some sort of digital currency backed by gold? Do you think we could actually see gold coins themselves, silver perhaps, be transacted? Will it be a gold-backed paper currency? What do you think is the most feasible way for them to actually execute that?
Everybody wants to talk about blockchains and all the rest of it. I mean, it's a load of rubbish, actually. It's very, very simple. This is why it's important to understand how credit works. The answer basically is that, any bank, I mean, I actually wrote about this some time ago. It's quite a complex or a long, it would take me some time. It would take me another hour and a half to explain exactly how the whole thing works and why it works. But believe you me, it is not difficult to set up, if you like, a sort of central agency which will hold gold bullion against which it will issue the new currency. Commercial banks, in terms of trade settlement, trade finance, and all the rest of it, will be able to create credit, their credit, denominated in this new currency. And that is where the expansion of it will be. You don't need blockchain. You don't need, all this sort of stuff about digital currencies. I mean, it's a load of hogwash, really. The answer, Jesse, is it's actually extremely simple to do. What you have to do is to ensure that the issuer of the currency has only got one function, and that is to issue the currency and manage the reserves. It must not be involved with banking. Leave that to the commercial banking network. That will create the credit on the back of it for trade settlements. Incidentally, a lot of which is self-extinguishing because, that's the point about trade finance. It's the temporary finance, if you like, of goods from point A to point B. Once that's delivered, the credit sort of, it disappears. So, this is something that is actually very, very easy to implement. The implications of it are that, not only the central issuing entity will need to acquire the reserves, which it can do out of, let's say, the member states that are involved, but also it's going to lead to greater demand for bullion generally, which is an important point. And it's going to lead to, if you like, less demand for dollars. So, that balance is going to be very, very much anti-dollar. And I think this is why the Chinese and the Indians were reluctant to endorse this move in Johannesburg. They didn't want to talk about it. They were the guys who basically said no.
Well, Alistair, it's been an incredibly enlightening conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today.
So you understand why nobody wants the dollar.
And explain to the viewers why gold is in fact money and the difference between fiat and precious metals.
Well, I'll come to that in a second. The basic problem is that very, very few people understand money, if you like. And this was something which Keynes said in one of his earlier books back in 21, I think. I can't quite remember which one it was, but I think he was quoting Stalin, who said something similar. The fact of the matter is that everything we do is actually credit, one way or the other. We never use money. I mean, money basically is a medium of exchange with no counterparty risk. Gone are the days when we even used silver coins or copper coins, which are money. Gone are the days when we used gold sovereigns, which are money. Everything else is credit. And this was something that John Pierpont Morgan, the founder of of various banking dynasties, pointed out to Congress in 1912. Gold is money and the rest is credit. And he's absolutely right. So that's the starting point. And what we've got to do is to break down the barriers from over 50 years of US Treasury propaganda that the dollar is now money, having replaced gold, and gold is now no more than petrol, whatever. So that is my basic task. Now, the reason I think it is very important to do it is that there is this misconception that the gold price is rising, when in fact it is the purchasing power, the values, if you like, of currencies which are declining. And that is the single most important point for people to understand in the relationship between gold and currencies.
So what he's saying is the dollar's being inflated, so the dollar loses value. So what $100 used to buy, it doesn't. So now it buys $50 worth. So what he's trying to say is the value of the gold isn't going up. It just simply takes more dollars to buy the same ounce of gold, which is what I use. So way back in 71, $35 bought an ounce of gold. Now you need $2,000 to buy the same ounce of gold. And what he's saying is, well, gold hasn't gone up. It just takes more dollars to buy it because the dollar's losing its value. Okay. But what he misses is that it's price fixed. So when we say the price of gold going up, that's when you take the price fix off and let it get to 10,000 an ounce, which is really where it should be if it wasn't price fixed. That's the part he can't seem to get. So yes, everything, it takes more money to buy everything. Steaks, hamburgers, ribs, shirts, pants, gloves. It costs more because the values of the dollar is being destroyed by the inflating of the supply of money. So in other words, if you print more money, then it's worth less. So you can't just print it. Keynes thought you can just print it. He didn't like gold because if there's a war, what do? And that's why you raise the value of gold is what you do, because you can't print more money. And with the gold standard, you can only, if you got, how much you got $1 billion worth of gold. So you print $1 billion worth of money. That's okay. And the dollar, you can go to the bank and give me $100 worth of gold. They give it to you. But you can't just print $10 billion of gold if you don't have the gold. So what you need to do is you raise the price of the gold. So let's say that's $100 an ounce, gets you $1 billion. Now it's $500 an ounce. That's how you do it. But this is what people aren't, what he's trying to get across, but he doesn't get is it's been suppressed. So when we ask what's the real price of gold, that's physical, not paper gold. That's what we're talking about. Oh, it should be 20,000 an ounce. That's what I talk about. It's not paper. I want the physical price. And it has never been a physical price. Can you believe this shit? How the fuck do you never have a physical price of gold? Who's running this thing? So that's what's happened. So my spider senses say, well, it's got to be worth 10 times. It's got to be worth 20,000. Because I can see Coke going from $1.50 to $3.50 for a 2 liter. Why wouldn't gold go up the same percentage? Or Fritos, or I'm watching the food go up. Why isn't gold going up? And it's suppressed. So that's why he's not getting it. So when the price of gold, when the dollar's being devalued, the gold price is not going up. So he doesn't get that part. Hey. But that's why you have me, because I can explain that kind of stuff to you and him. So that's what he's saying. It's the value of the dollar is dropping. Therefore, it takes more dollars to buy the gold. The ounce isn't really going up, but you don't really have a real price of gold right now. So that's where he's wrong. No, gold doesn't really. Well, the difference with gold, where are you at? Price fix a decimal point on a tax return. They are coming to get. You don't understand price fixing, I don't think. Banks can just apologize. Yeah, you're not getting price fixing. Does gold fluctuate like Bitcoin does? Well, every item moves based on supply and demand. That's not fluctuating. Bitcoin, if it was real and it was based on supply and demand, so everybody wants to buy it, the price goes up. Everybody wants to sell it, the price goes down. Then it would be the same as gold or my Canadian club or my Mahomes card. The Mahomes card fluctuates. So does the Montana card. So do the Brady cards. The market is always shifting. So you're not getting one set price. Gold is not 1,000 or 11 or 2,100 an ounce. It might be today, but it moves. So if you allowed it to be free market and let the market actually give you the price based on how many people want it, how many people don't, it would go up a lot more than it would go down, especially in this type of situation where you don't have anything else. That's what I like about it. There's nothing else to go into. It's a no-brainer. You have no other option. You get out of the dollar. You can't go to Bitcoin, to Swiss francs, euros, British pounds, yen, rubles. There's nothing you can go to because they're all being inflated. They're all being printed. So your only out is gold and silver. That's it. There's no other out. But it's not at free market, unfortunately. It's not even a physical price. It's a paper price. So the physical price has to be at least 10 times more than the paper. Like silver's got to be worth $1,000 an ounce, not 2,500 or 25. That's a joke. Money that's backed by something of value rather than the idea that paper is worth something just because. Paper is not worth anything because it's not backed. So that's why you need a gold-backed currency, is that it keeps the value. I have gold backing this currency. Right now, you have nothing backing the currency. It's toilet paper. It's not worth anything. It has no value. It's trapped into, you want to go to the steakhouse and use the dollars to buy your dinner. They have to take it. They've come up with, okay, it's $50 for the steak. And you give them the $50. Well, the dollars aren't worth anything. But the guy who runs the steakhouse, since he used dollars to buy the steak and cook the steak and pay his employees, he takes the $50 for the meal. And if he's smart, he runs and buys gold with it. If he's not, he might have $300,000-$400,000 in dollars that are all be worthless. This is where everybody's going to get fucked. They're holding $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 in paper that's worthless. And then soon as this gold back stuff comes out, it won't be worth shit. And you're going to say, God, I had $400,000 in the bank. You mean it's worth zero? It's worth zero now. This is what you must understand. It's already worthless. You either buy the gold at $2,000 an ounce or you're going to go broke. Yeah, okay, you want to buy Bitcoin. I don't know why. It doesn't have a value, but yeah, okay, go buy Bitcoin. Is it supply demand? Is it free market price? Nobody can answer that question. I don't know if it's a free market price. I doubt it. I believe it's being price fixed also. But it is not backed by anything. And that's what takes me away from Bitcoin. It's not backed by anything. We don't even know what it is, and you can't even hold it. So there's nothing good about Bitcoin that you can't get Sam Bankman-Friedman or this queen of OneCoin. I bet everybody thought OneCoin was a real coin. And then they found out it doesn't even exist. And they lost billions of dollars in this OneCoin. Well, if I hold gold, I can't lose. So either I don't want to lose and I'm going to make a fortune, or I go into a digital currency that's not even real, which I never hold. Why do you want something that you don't hold? That's ridiculous. If the electronic grid goes down, what happens to Bitcoin? Well, good luck getting it. That's what he said. It's gone. That's why gold you have in your hands. And it'll always have a value because it's real money, right? So if you lose electricity, gold's still gold. But yes, you're right. Bitcoin, you're fucked with. All right.
The relationship between gold and credit. Fiat credit has no anchor in value whatsoever. And, while under normal circumstances, you can say that the quantity of fiat money in circulation, fiat credit in circulation, will determine its value. In other words, if you expand the amount of dollars in circulation, then its purchasing power goes down. Yeah, that's true. But there's another far more important overriding point. And that is that the value of any fiat currency depends on the faith in it. If you lose faith in a fiat currency, then it becomes valueless. I mean, it's as simple as that. And that's why it is so important in these times of huge change, to do everything possible to help people understand actually what's going on. It's not gold price rising. It's the purchasing power of fiat dollars, fiat euros, fiat yen declining. That's the important point. So in order to achieve this, what I've done is I've set up a Substack channel called McLeod Finance.
We don't care, McLeod. Unless he's Connor McLeod from the McLeods in Highlander. So put it this way. Think of it as your girlfriend or your wife or boyfriend if you're a woman. As soon as they do something that you don't like and you say, fuck you, they have no value for you, right? Why do you have the girlfriend or the boyfriend or whatever? They give you value. You get value from them in some way. And as soon as nobody wants the dollar because it's worthless, because you've printed too much, because there's no point in it, you lose faith in it. Oh, I don't want to hold the dollar. Doesn't have a value. I don't want it. So as soon as nobody wants it, it's worthless. That's what a market is. Again, I have the Canadian Club. Is it worth anything? Only if there's a market for it. Do people want it? If people want it, then it has a value and a market. A market is simply, I can sell it and there's a buyer and a seller. That's what it is, right? And the question is going to be, is there a market for this? This is worth 1%. So 1% of a dollar is worth a penny. $100, this would be worth $1. Is there a market for this is the question. And that's really, there is now, but it's a Ponzi scheme. It's just the U.S. buying it from itself and forcing people to use it. Oh, you want to go from Swiss francs to British pounds, you need the dollar. So they're creating this need for it, which is ridiculous. And that's what they're getting away from, is everybody will go, well, fuck it. We don't want the US dollar anymore. We have no faith in it. I don't want to buy it. I don't want to buy the US debt. I have no faith that they're going to pay me back. Why would I make this stupid decision? So I'm not going to buy it because I don't trust that I'm going to get it back. So it's kind of a trust thing, right? Oh, your girlfriend cheated on you. You don't trust her anymore. Once you don't trust her anymore, then she has no value to you. Oh, you're sleeping around? Well, goodbye. And that takes care of the trust issue, and there's no faith. So when you're with your boyfriend, girlfriend, it's the trust of the other person. That's why you keep them around. If you can't trust them, you don't keep them around. And that's the thing in the bank. Do you trust the dollar? If you don't, right now, people still trust it because they're so stupid. They don't understand that it's backed by nothing and worthless. People still, That's the problem. That's where I'm really like shaking my head is the person with 3, 4, 500,000 in the bank thinking, oh, I got my retirement. And you say, where's your money? Well, it's in my 401k. It's in my stocks. And it's just like, oh my God, you're going to get killed. Or even worse, it's in my bank account. I have it in the money market, being safe at 5%. I'm like, oh God, all that's going to go to zero. The banks will go out. The whole system, as we know, it's going to crash. It has to, because there's nothing to play with. It's monopoly money. Nobody's going to trust the banks because their money is going to be gone. Nobody's going to trust the stock market because it's a Ponzi scheme. Nobody's going to trust Bitcoin because it's priced in dollars. The biggest difference I see between Bitcoin and gold, if I own 5 Bitcoins, let's say they're 50 grand a piece, it's $250,000. Now, if the dollar goes to zero, what's my Bitcoin worth? Zero. My gold doesn't need to be priced in dollars. If it's 2,000 an ounce and then the dollar goes out, I didn't lose any value. Now the gold's worth its own weight. It's worth, let's say it's worth 5,000 an ounce, or, it'll be worth what it can buy. But the gold can never lose its value. It'll just not be priced in dollars. I'll buy a house for 2 ounces of gold. But if you're in dollars, the dollars goes to zero, you got nothing. It's priced in dollars at zero. That's all there is. So that's really the biggest problem. People with a lot of money thinking they have a lot of money and not being smart and putting it into gold are going to get crushed because, I was looking at Warren Buffett's portfolio and it's all in stocks. And I just laughed my ass off. Well, he's going to be broke. Well, he does have $2 billion in dollars. Well, he'll be broke because it's in dollars. And when dollars goes to zero, 2 billion times zero is zero. He's going to lose all of it. Why is he not smart enough to buy gold? Because he's not a smart guy. He's clueless. Right? So I can't wait for him to go broke. I love that. But that's the problem with it is people don't understand the game, and then they get burnt, and then they get made off. Oh, I lost all my money and made off. Did you ask the question how he makes it? Did you realize it was a Ponzi scheme? Did you understand that everybody else is getting 3% and he's giving out 15%? Maybe it doesn't make sense. That's like the hot girl coming up to you and wanting to have sex with you, and you think, oh, that's nice, without going, what's the catch? Oh, you're gonna rob me blind if I have sex with you. That's the problem. Nothing. If it doesn't make sense, it's not making sense. So when you get to that, you must understand the dollar is worthless. So you need to understand that part of the concept. And then you go to gold because they can't make gold worthless. Gold will always have the value. So even if you're Warren Buffett and you're really stupid like he is, and you got $2 billion in dollars, so go buy $2 billion in gold. And the worst case is what? The dollar doesn't collapse and you got all this gold, and the gold's now worth 20 times what you thought it would be worth. So sell the gold and buy money if you're that stupid. But this is the problem. Nobody understands gold. That's why I listen to Egon and Alligator. They get it. All right, let's see. Where are we at? The 5-minute mark.
Which is the same as my Twitter handle, @McLeod Finance. I'm setting up a video channel as well. That'll come along in the coming weeks. And also I've got a website, McLeodfinance.com. So what I want to do is I want to lever up social media to spread this message. Now, I would add at this stage that my commitment to Gold Money remains as firm as ever. I'm head of research at Gold Money, and I will continue to write for them, as well as for my new Substack. So that basically is my plan for 2024. And I think at a time of enormous change which we face, on the geopolitical scene, on the economic scene, and also with governments, and particularly the US government, entering into a debt trap from which it seems there is no escape. Certainly no escape without massive cuts in public spending, which in an election year, good luck to that idea. So, one way and another, I think that 2024 is the year when we're really going to discover the value of these fiat currencies.
Well, talk to us about that debt trap that the U.S. government, and in fact, many governments around the world find themselves in, the ECB as well. Obviously, these central banks are between a rock and a hard place based on their own misguided policies and their understanding of the economy. I'm wondering where you think this all ends. And also, those who are maybe more conspiratorial minded think that this could be being done on purpose, that these bankers aren't incompetent, they are actually malignant, and it's a conspiracy, if you want to call it that, to crush the middle class and consolidate power. What are your thoughts on that, and where this whole debt situation leads us?
If you're turning 65 or beyond, you're going to want to watch this. There are a lot of people today that are Medicare eligible.
Leads us.
Well, I think the first thing I must do is dismiss any idea of a conspiracy theory. The reality of the situation is that the situation is getting beyond anyone's control. And, the officials in any central bank are having, they must be having sleepless nights as to how to deal with this upcoming situation. Just imagine that you are Jay Powell in the Fed. What do you see? Forget the statistics and forget the propaganda that you put out and all the rest of it. But the truth of the matter is that you're seeing debt getting out of control, government debt getting out of control. You can see the economy tanking. They have, the Fed, through its regional offices, has a pretty good grasp of what's going on the ground around the country. So it doesn't necessarily tell you what it knows. This is the information which it needs to inform itself. It can see that the whole thing is going down. It knows the situation with the banks, which is why it had to rush in and rescue the regional banks from the losses on their bond positions. What bank actually in the old days would buy bonds with a maturity of more than 1 year? This is just complete lunacy. But you had, with zero interest rates, everybody was misled, including the Fed itself, incidentally. Because, one point I would agree with you on is their grasp of economics and grasp of the difference between money and credit is perhaps sadly lacking. Their grasp of the role of interest rates is definitely lacking. These guys are in real difficulty. As to the debt trap, well, you're holding this interview in Japan, from Japan, while I'm in Britain. The Japanese government has got something like, 260% debt to GDP, and the central bank is underwater big time with its positions in not just short-term government debt, but also long-term government debt, 10-year JGBs, and even 30-year JGBs. I calculated at one stage, when I think when the 10-year yield was up about sort of 0.75%, that the negative equity on the Bank of Japan's balance sheet was something like 4,000 times its capital. This is, so the whole system is actually in enormous difficulties. And if you look at the Japanese commercial banks, many years of trying to create profits out of a situation of negative interest rates means that they have increased their leverage in order to generate a reasonable bottom line. So that leaves them over, with a debt to equity ratio of over 20 times. This has never been seen before. It is that serious. So, the debt trap basically, I mean, it's one thing, if you've got, say, 260% debt to GDP, and you keep interest rates at zero, which incidentally is why they're at zero. But anyway, we'll just gloss over that point. That's not a problem. But as soon as they start rising, Houston, you got a problem. And we're seeing this not just in Japan, not just in the Eurozone, but also in the United States. The United States is a peculiar situation because the proportion of government spending out of the total economy isn't nearly as great as it is in other major economies. But nevertheless, they've got themselves into a debt situation. I mean, we've got the gross government debt crossed the 34 trillion line, literally. I think on the 30th of December, 31st of December, whatever. I mean, like we've just gone over it. In this current fiscal year, I estimate that the combination of interest costs plus the budget deficit in terms of actual spending compared with revenue, the total is going to be over $3 trillion. Now, that's going to push the debt to GDP by the end of September up to, something in the region of 37 trillion, maybe even more than that. So by the end of the year, and given also that this is an election year, and the fascinating thing is they put off the debt ceiling to the 1st of January 2025. Well, what does that do? I mean, any incumbent president, will start spending, try to buy votes, basically. That's what will happen. I wouldn't be surprised to see U.S. Treasury debt approaching the 40 trillion level at the end of this calendar year. Because, I mean, if you put a debt stop back, put in a debt stop at, in the early months of 2025, then as a spending politician, you want to get that level as high as possible. So you're going to spend as much as you can before, it's clamped down. So, and the problem really with all this is that the dollar is so over-owned by foreigners. I mean, under the US Treasury tick figures, there's something like 32 to 33 trillion of foreign ownership of financial assets. And on top of that, you've got the derivative position in the foreign exchange markets, which, whereby short-term debt actually should be regarded as bank finance. Bank finance, in this case, we're talking about, if you like, dollar credit, which is created outside the US financial system. And that dollar credit, according to the Bank of International Settlements, over a year ago was $85 trillion. You've got that as well. And then, of course, you've got the Eurodollar markets, which are bonds which are financed, if you like, outside America and held outside America. That's another 10 trillion, according to the Bank of International Settlements. So we're looking at the thick end of $130 trillion overhanging the foreign exchange markets. Now, that is 4.5 times US GDP. So what can go wrong? Well, unless interest rates reward the foreigners for their expectations of the risk, credit risk, if you like, of the dollar, plus what they think the dollar might have in terms of its purchasing power, say in a year's time, if you're, buying a 1-year T-bill, that's what interest rates have got to compensate the foreigners for. And if you don't compensate the foreigners, they're going to sell the dollar. And we've already seen, Powell's pivot, as they're calling it, which was the last FOMC meeting, his statement there, it became quite clear to the markets that the priorities in the Fed had changed from controlling inflation, using interest rates to control inflation, to fears of the debt problem. They need to get interest rates down in order that the government's debt position in 2024 can be financed. And we're talking about 3 trillion of new debt And on top of that, there's about I think it's around about $7.6 trillion of maturing debt that needs to be rolled over. What is going to be the level of interest from foreigners to support that? I don't think it's really there. I mean, at the moment, they've got a sweet spot because money market funds, which have been under Basel III, which is slightly complex, but under Basel III, it doesn't actually suit the large banks to have large deposits. It's an inefficient means of funding the asset side of their balance sheet. So this is why the Fed opened up a channel for the money market funds to go into reverse repos, and they drove reverse repos up in December 22 to a high of about $2.5 trillion. That fell this year, and at one stage it was down to around about 700 billion. And so where did it all go? Well, the answer is it went into T-bills. T-bills, which are paying 5.3, 5.4%. And I think that, therefore, there is this sweet spot. Plus, of course, commercial banks, they realize the risks, the mounting risks in the economy. So they are no longer lending to businesses. They are moving their balance sheet into a government debt, which, according to everybody, is the risk-free alternative, if you like. But of course, if you understand credit, it is certainly not risk-free. But anyway, it is believed to be risk-free. That is the way the system accounts for it. So you move, you stop lending to, Joe's shack out in the Midwest somewhere, and you lend it to the government in T-bills. This is a sweet spot which will stop, and I think it'll stop in the coming months. So
Hey, Bobby.
then we are likely to have a funding crisis. This is what I mean by a debt trap. The amount of debt and the cost of that debt that needs to be rolled over is becoming the dominant problem in America.
You missed Egon.
Not many people seem to realize it yet, but that is definitely the case. They think that interest rates are going to go lower. That is wrong. They may ease slightly temporarily, but the effect, the consequences of having to fund this debt are highly inflationary in the sense that it will undermine the purchasing power of the dollar. I mean, if debt is used constructively, if credit is used constructively, credit, debt, they're the same thing effectively, then it's not inflationary. But when a government steps into the arena and starts funding its deficit, this is not the application of debt for constructive or productive means. It is destructive of the purchasing power of the currency in spades. And I mean, I've looked at the statistics going way back, and I mean, in this country back in the 19th century, we saw between 1844 and 1910 or thereanouts, that there was very little expansion in the coins in circulation. I'm talking about.
All right. Anyway. So you can see by the debt and all this foreign money owned that it's just huge inflation. They can't afford the debt. It's now it's going to be 37 trillion, he said, plus all the money as people realize the dollar's worthless, who are outside the systems, like $125 trillion back in, which it'll blow up the whole thing. So, you can keep your money in the bank or you can buy gold. And do you want to be safe or do you not want to be safe? Bobby, I've been we had Egon on earlier, and I've had Alligator. He's actually on 2 videos, but I'm only going to do this one now. I got to watch the other one again. But basically, they're losing confidence in the dollar. And then he talked about Russia. Let me replay that. But Russia's going to come out with the gold system soon, and BRICS will be by October. They'll have their gold, money backed by gold. The dollar will blow up, and we'll be fine in our gold and silver. So that's really the key. Egon didn't have much to say. He was just recapping and basically saying how Bitcoin is speculative and gold is gold, and it's not speculative. Gold's to protect your wealth and speculative. Bitcoin does not protect your wealth, is only speculative, and I refer it as buying a lottery ticket. There's no difference between Bitcoin and a lottery ticket. You got the same, maybe I'll win, and that's about it. So let me play the last little bit of
The world's most popular crypto card just got better.
Expect the dollar to be in serious decline because of all the debt trap and and all the other factors we mentioned earlier. So, other than that, I think that countries. I mean, it's amazing how countries like even Kenya, the president of Kenya seems to understand the benefits of sound money. As opposed to credit. Now, I mean, he's presided, not him, but his predecessors have presided over a collapsing shilling. This is the big lesson. Look, it's confidence in your fiat currency. And, if you're a tin pot country somewhere in the middle of Africa, nobody's going to value your currency. It doesn't matter how you run things. So this is the great thing. This is the great lesson. And this was really the reason that Russia must get onto a gold standard, and I think she will be the first, and she could well do it ahead of that October meeting. So it's going to be a very interesting year.
And just to follow up there, how do you think that will be executed in practice? Will it require some sort of digital currency backed by gold? Do you think we could actually see gold coins themselves, silver perhaps, be transacted? Will it be a gold-backed paper currency? What do you think is the most feasible way for them to actually execute that?
Everybody wants to talk about blockchains and all the rest of it. I mean, it's a load of rubbish, actually. It's very, very simple. This is why it's important to understand how credit works. The answer basically is that, any bank, I mean, I actually wrote about this some time ago. It's quite a complex or a long, it would take me some time. It would take me another hour and a half to explain exactly how the whole thing works and why it works. But believe you me, it is not difficult to set up, if you like, a sort of central agency which will hold gold bullion against which it will issue the new currency. Commercial banks, in terms of trade settlement, trade finance, and all the rest of it, will be able to create credit, their credit, denominated in this new currency. And that is where the expansion of it will be. You don't need blockchain. You don't need, all this sort of stuff about digital currencies. I mean, it's a load of hogwash, really. The answer, Jesse, is it's actually extremely simple to do. What you have to do is to ensure that the issuer of the currency has only got one function, and that is to issue the currency and manage the reserves. It must not be involved with banking. Leave that to the commercial banking network. That will create the credit on the back of it for trade settlements. Incidentally, a lot of which is self-extinguishing because, that's the point about trade finance. It's the temporary finance, if you like, of goods from point A to point B. Once that's delivered, the credit sort of, it disappears. So, this is something that is actually very, very easy to implement. The implications of it are that, not only the central issuing entity will need to acquire the reserves, which it can do out of, let's say, the member states that are involved, but also it's going to lead to greater demand for bullion generally, which is an important point. And it's going to lead to, if you like, less demand for dollars. So that balance is going to be very, very much anti-dollar. And I think this is why the Chinese and the Indians were reluctant to endorse this move in Johannesburg. They didn't want to talk about it. They were the guys who basically said no.
Well, Alistair, it's been an incredibly...
All right, Bobby Bo, that's the bottom line. Stone Cold saying so. So you can see, as I've said, so what they'll do is that we have this, which is the euro now, or dollar. It'll just be the same thing. It'll have a gold one, and it'll be, this is a gold $5 backed by gold. And you'll use that the same way you use this. They'll just have to reprice everything. So that's basically what it is. We've got 30 tons of, we got what? We got 10,000 tons of gold, and we're going to print all this money. We'll have to revalue the gold, and then you're not going to carry the gold around with you. You'll have dollars like this, only with gold, and they'll be worth a lot more than, it won't say 5 on it. It'll be, whatever, or it could say 5, and it'll buy $5 worth of gold. And then you go to the grocery store, and milk and cheese are whatever they are in gold and silver. And that's all. So you go to the bank and you get this gold, or you get your paycheck or whatever, only you'll get the gold money instead of this. So that's really what they're doing. But yeah, so rewind some of it. Egon doesn't really say a whole lot, just the debt, so everybody's aware the debt's way too much. It's like 35 trillion on its way to really 40. In the election year, nobody will want to take away spending, so we're all fucked anyway. And basically, the difference between Bitcoin and gold is gold preserves your wealth. You got 100 grand in gold, it's worth 100 grand. You got 100 grand in Bitcoin, you don't know what you got, and it doesn't preserve your wealth. It could be worth $1 million, it could be worth zero. Because you don't know what Bitcoin is. It's not backed by anything. It's no different than the dollar in my mind. You've got money that is not backed by anything, and it's priced in U.S. dollars. So when the U.S. dollar goes out, what's your Bitcoin worth? Nothing. Gold will have its own value, as I've discussed many times. You'll be buying houses and cars with gold. It won't lose value. You don't need the dollar. You don't need to price gold in dollars. You price really dollars in gold. So we've got BRICS coming up with Russia going to come out with a gold-backed currency soon, and then BRICS by the third quarter, probably earlier, and stock market blowing up, banks blowing up. It's just all the paper, anything in paper is get the fuck off the Titanic. And as I've been saying, and that's why I say it. So this is what's happening. I'm educating you. I show you our guests so we can all be on the same page. You don't look at me like Rick Rude or Reichert or somebody or Maloney going, oh, this guy, bullshit. No, I back it up, and I'm telling you what is at a master's level. I'm a salesman trying to sell you gold. I'm not selling you anything. Anyway, so far 4-0 in football this weekend. The lock hit Detroit over with Kansas City under. I played them both in 2 teasers. Tonight we got Buffalo 10-38. We've got Philly 3-43. Bobby, you going to the ball game tonight? So we've got I got Buffalo winning 24-9. Cold weather. I think both teams are really strong defensively anyway. Philly, Tampa. Philly, no defense, good offense. Tampa Bay has not a great offense, not a great defense. So I think Philly can score, and Tampa should score because Philly's defense is run by Matt Patricia. So I look for a 37-34 Philly game. So that'll be it. And then we'll finally tomorrow have our next round matchups. We know that Green Bay is at Frisco. and that's going to be a tough game for Frisco. And we know that Detroit hosts whoever wins tonight. We know Baltimore hosts somebody, but we don't know. It could be Pittsburgh. It could be Houston. KC could host Houston, but would go to Buffalo if Buffalo wins. And then we'll recalc and re-get the lines. So very interesting day today. I woke up and I found an egon and 2 alligators. So I watched the other alligator video. It was also 50 minutes, but I have to take notes on that one. So I'll do that tomorrow. We'll show that. And outside, I got a little bit of a cold or a sinus infection or something. But hopefully it's almost over. My foot feels better. Then my heel started hurting again. I took my ibuprofens, and it seems okay now. So I'll probably soak it in the hot tub at the club later on. Otherwise, girls are fine. Daria lost the internet for a few days, apparently, in Russia. But she says it was some sort of glitch, and now it's fine. And I'm like, okay. And she's working, and Jenna's in the Ukraine. So everything's good with them, except for it's fucking cold outside. And here we got 7 inches of snow, and it's freezing. It's literally 0 out if you go out. I put the hood on, and I got my winter coat out. And my gloves, which really suck because when I'm in the car, I can't change the stations on the radio. It doesn't take the feed of the glove. I got to take the glove off and use my finger, which I don't like. The idiots here, they're all like so pro-Lion. It's the idiot. Oh, the Lions will win by 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Yeah, you're out of your fucking mind. I thought the Rams would win. They should have won. There was a bad pass interference that didn't get called, which was a joke. That should have definitely been called near the end of the game. Again, the refs fuck up, but what else is new? So in about an hour, we'll turn on Buffalo and Pitt, go to the gym, and then watch the Philly-Tampa game. And I don't know what I'm just expecting a lot of points in that one. And the over-under is only 43, which really doesn't make sense. It's way low. Just like I thought the KC was way high at 44. I thought it should have been 34. This one's 43. I think should be 50. This is Philly. They score a ton of points, and they give up a ton of points. And with Matt Patricia, they're going to give up even more. Mayfield's play. They should be able to score points. And Pitt Buffalo, I think it's still going to be probably 0 there. It's 19, but with the wind chill off the lake, it's got to be 0. 15-mile-an-hour winds. I don't see a lot of points in that game. All right. So I hope you made out. Again, the lock was Detroit over, Kansas City under, a winner. I think that's about it. So buy your gold and silver. There's no other thing worth buying. There's no competition for it. The problem is they don't promote it, and you think you're going to get. You're going to get rich. So you're going to get rich in Bitcoin or what, in Microsoft or in a CD, or your $500,000 in the bank is going to go to 0, and you're going to go. I've been Madoff, and it's so simple. Just buy the gold. You have no risk. I don't understand why everybody's not in gold. You have no risk. It can't go down. It can't go to 0. And it's about to explode because of what Russia and BRICS are going to do. So I don't really understand. It's like the biggest lock I ever had in football. Just take gold and lay the points. So anyway, I think that's about it. 2 hour 48. I'm tired. I got up early, turned on Alligator and Egon, and then went back to bed about 7. So a bit tired. So I'm going to eat and then go and have a good night. Enjoy the game if you can. Pitt Buffalo be kind of low scoring, and then Philly Tampa. Who really cares? Except for Nick. Bobby, are you going to the game? I hope you go and enjoy it. Or maybe I said a few quarterbacks today, Bobby, that you could probably get 35 points on Philly's defense. So, all right. Have a good night, everybody. www.teaserking.com. I don't really see where to put the link in my video. I don't see where it says it. I'm going to Google it and see where it says how to put a link in here. But it's Teaser King. It says it in the description, www.teaserking.com. All right. Have a good night, everybody, and good luck on the games tonight. And I will see you tomorrow. I might swim first if I get a good night's sleep in, and then come on about 1:32. All right. Take care. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.